two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. It is indeed Sunday. I know I may be cutting into the Cowboys. The Cowboys in the Detroit Lions game. I kind of wanted to see it myself, which is why I'm stalling a little bit while I put it on the television behind me. But I do want to ask you folks while we kick off this live, the questions, the simple question I'm going to be asking today is this. Why in the hell are you voting? In other words, regardless of who you're voting for, whether you're voting for Trump, whether you're voting for Vice President Kamala Harris, the question I'm asking is, why the hell are you voting? Because the polls continue to say this is a close race. Now, I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm questioning the validity of the polls. I think many of you folks remember Trump versus Hillary Clinton 2016. Polls were incredibly off. Certainly the expected red wave this time 2 years ago, where the Republicans were expected to take the House and Senate by a wide margin, and they never took the Senate at all and barely held on to Congress. So what I want to ask you folks is, why are you voting? What are your main issues? Because we're looking at two significantly different candidates. But I guess we'd ask, let's say you're voting for Trump. What is it about a Kamala Harris presidency that concerns you so much? Or vice versa. Perhaps you want Kamala Harris to win. What is so concerning if the candidate you voted for loses? Would it really be that bad if your candidate of choice lost and the opposition won the race? What are you voting for? In fact, I'd like to know, as we bring guests up, probably your main, I'm going to say two, we don't want to dry it out too long, but the two most important issues to you, why you are choosing your candidate. Now, that could be a host of things, anything from the economy, border security, women's having a right to choose. We're going to talk about democracy. A lot of folks are fearful of Trump getting reelected for democracy. And I'll tell you it is, with some of the things that Trump is saying about immigrants, I think the Democrats are starting to vote with immigrants also as an important topic. Securing the border has, for the most part, been a big issue with Republicans, not necessarily Democrats. But because of the language Trump is using on how he intends to treat illegal immigrants, I think some Democrats are now going to be voting with immigration in mind, thinking, we'll debate it, but simply thinking that if they keep Trump out of office, they may save some humanity in the form of immigrants, because Trump is talking about locking them up and things like that. I mean, Trump is talking about some pretty draconian responses to folks who are in this country illegally, and in many cases legally too. So that's the first question first topic we're going to be talking about is, why the hell are you voting? What are your biggest, your primary issues that's leading you to vote that might suggest it's not sensible to vote for the opposition? I also want to ask now this one could be controversial, but I want to hear your opinion on it. You don't always run this by the folks. You know we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. As always, you know we are, since day one, we are MAGA friendly. Always have been MAGA friendly, always will be MAGA friendly. Been that way for three years or so since we've been doing this, so we are MAGA friendly. But but liberals are welcome as well. We just don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. You can be critical of anybody in the comment section, up to and including your host. Simple question. Now, it could be controversial to some, but I'm going to ask you a simple question. What does America first mean to you? You've obviously heard this statement a hell of a lot, but what does America first mean to you? Now, in continuing on, also, Trump had a a rally. I believe it was either earlier today or yesterday. Oddly enough, every time Trump has a rally, you get good content out of it. I mean, Trump is just like literally a fountain of good content. So it ain't always necessarily about bashing Trump or supporting Trump. It's just the guy tends to say a lot of controversial things. And it does lead to content for folks like myself and others. This is one that I want to run by you and hear your opinion on as well.
Trump casting Aurora, Colorado.
That has been invaded and conquered.
Okay, I'm going to clip this back. Now, by the way, this clip I'm running to you, I know a lot of my beloved MAGA may not favor it because it's coming off of MSNBC. I'm not going to play games with you on a source. And unfortunately, in this video, the host is talking over Trump. It's a very quick video, but the host is talking over Trump a little bit, and he's being critical of Trump. But I want you to pay particularly attention to Trump. We're not really here to talk about the host or the individual, the journalist speaking over Trump. But I want you to hear what Trump is saying, because that is what we're going to be discussing. So I'll run this by you, and then we'll go ahead and start taking calls and running the show as normal.
Aurora, Colorado, as a cautionary tale.
I will rescue Aurora and every town that has been invaded and conquered.
Trump falsely claiming Venezuelan gangs have overrun the city, highlighting viral videos of armed men in apartment complexes and vowing mass deportations of undocumented immigrants, starting with convicted criminals assisted by local police.
We will begin the task of finding and deporting every single illegal alien gang member from our country. We'll get them out.
But Aurora's police chief tells us crime is down. He says there is an issue with migrant gangs here, but the city is not overrun, as Trump says. Do you recognize that, Aurora?
You know what? Right now, that is not the situation that we have. But what we do have is a new group that have come into the city of Aurora. They have caused, without question, major concerns.
He wants federal help to deal with migrants, not responsibility for deporting them.
You don't have any or very little federal assistance. I think it's really a disaster.
A recent poll shows 59% of likely voters support mass deportation of undocumented migrants. Trump's former acting ICE director argues it's necessary after over 10 million migrants crossed the border since the Biden-Harris administration began.
I'll stop it there, but I mean, and clearly, you notice even though this is on MSNBC, his promise to deport mass amounts of illegal immigrants seems to have widespread support, 59%. So that means there are plenty of Democrats that are supporting Trump on this as well. But one of the things I wanted to point out is why is it that when Trump says these things are happening in these towns, very similar to the Haitian migrants, the powers that be in these cities are saying what he's saying is not true. Now there's a police chief on camera stating that what Trump is claiming, that their town is being overrun by Venezuelan immigrants, is not true. Now, by the way, if I'm correct, I believe the government in Aurora, Colorado, once again, is Republican, just like the government in Springfield, Ohio. So why are the folks in these cities that Trump claims he is trying to save, he's going to get the Haitian migrants out of Springfield, people's pets will no longer be eaten, and in this case, is going to get the immigrants that is conquered in this town. According to him, they have conquered the town. He's going to get them out. Yet the government of these towns that happen to be Republican governments are saying it's not true. I want to ask you folks, why do you think that is? What would they have to gain by denouncing what the candidate likely that they're going to vote for is saying? Because, like I said, both Springfield and Aurora, Colorado have Republican administrations, so they probably aren't voting for Kamala Harris. So why are they going against former President Trump? We'll be talking about that as well. One other statement, I don't know if I have it queued up, but I can say it if not. Trump is claiming that immigrants have invaded and conquered several U.S. cities. And what I want to ask you folks is, do you agree with him? Do you believe American cities have been invaded and quote unquote conquered. I mean, now for me personally, I'm thinking when you say conquered, I'm thinking, June 6th, 1944, Normandy, the invasion of Normandy. That's kind of what I'm thinking when you say you're invading, or, what was it, shock and awe when we went into Iraq? What does he mean by invading and conquering? Do you know any U.S. city that you feel confident that has been invaded by immigrants and indeed conquered? That is the language he's using. They've been invaded and conquered. So that's what we're going to talk about. As always, feel free to smash that like button on YouTube. Tap the screen on TikTok. It'll help out with the algorithm. It always brings in more MAGA. You know how the program is ran. So looking in the comments, Gregory says there would be actual real facts if they had invaded and conquered. It's just fear-mongering. So what do you guys think? You think that Trump is actually trying to save these cities from being conquered or invaded? Or do you believe what my viewer Gregory is saying, that Trump is just simply trying to install fear in the hearts of Americans? On YouTube, if only Trump had hotels to house the legal asylum seekers. Well, Trump's hotels are pretty damn luxurious. That ain't gonna happen there for sure. Every time I see you on here, all you do is talk about the cats and dogs. Nathan, before I go back to the box, and start taking my first caller, here's what I don't get. If Trump holds a rally, talks about January 6th, says whatever he wants to say, fair enough. Maybe he talks about the election in 2020 is stolen, gives you his reasons why, fair enough. Talks about Springfield, Ohio, suggesting that migrants are eating cats and dogs, and the audience responds in kind. But then the moment the rally is over, and maybe a Trump detractor, a commentator, a journalist, a liberal speaks on it, why the hell do we have to keep talking about this? Why do you keep bringing up January 6th? Why do you keep bringing up the 2020 election? Why do you keep bringing up cats and dogs? So I want to ask you folks, are these subjects something that only Trump can discuss, and it's wrong for anyone else to bring it up? Because I watch a hell of a lot of Trump rallies. You see the content I present here, I'm always watching Trump rallies. I watch him damn near daily now because he's going everywhere. In fact, he's at one now in Arizona. So I watch a lot of Trump. But what I want to ask is this, because when Trump covers these subjects, January 6th, 2020 election being stolen, Haitian migrants, not one person in the audience yells out, Mr. President, why the hell do you keep talking about this? But yet when someone else does, it suddenly becomes off limits. So I'm asking you folks, are these topics something that only Trump can discuss? He's discussing this stuff at every rally. He's still discussing the 2020 election. He's often talking about they were wrongfully treated on January 6th, blaming Nancy Pelosi for not providing National Guard and things like that, calling them patriots. And of course, he's talking about Springfield, Ohio, very often. Are these topics that only Trump can discuss, and it is simply wrong when anyone else bring it up? Going straight to the box, I'll start it right out with Red Dawn Radio. Big fan of the movie. I'm doing good. Good evening. So what do you think in regards to the topics are those topics that only Trump can discuss?
I think they're topics that only he'll bring up, but we should have a conversation about them.
So why is it so, like for instance, the cats and dogs in Springfield, why is that so unpopular when someone else brings it up as opposed to Trump?
Because it's a tough subject to bring up when it comes to, cats and dogs. And look, our culture in this country, those are our pets, and there are people coming in from other countries that it's not the same for them. Where the countries they come from, those aren't necessarily pets. Those are ways of feeding your family. But to totally just discount the statement as not being true, I mean, I've seen many videos of people like roasting dogs over an open flame.
Wow. You're making me think of the Christmas song, you know, Labrador is roasting over and over. I mean, I think there's a Christmas song that goes something like that. Maybe it wasn't a Labrador, maybe it was chestnuts. But what I'm asking you though is this: why is there so much pushback when somebody else brings it up, but when Trump brings it up, it's met with favor?
I think it was meant. I think it was met with like a lot of outrage when you brought it up. Who else has brought it up other than Trump?
Oh my God. Kamala Harris brings it up sometimes at her rallies, and there are liberals all over the media bringing it up.
Are they admitting that it's happening, or are they just saying it's ridiculous?
Well, some of them are saying it's ridiculous. Others are like myself, whereas I'm willing to concede the point and damn near apologize to every MAGA I may have insulted if I've seen sufficient evidence. I've been asking my viewers since it happened about 2 months ago. I've been telling them, send me videos. A few people have emailed me stuff. Not one video I have received, and I've received dozens of them. Here's what I want confirmed. Here's what I need confirmed. I need to see a dog, a cat, and a goose being eaten by someone I can confirm is in Springfield, and they are a Haitian migrant. I don't want text on the screen to tell me what I'm looking at. I should be able to confirm that from what I'm seeing. I have not had a video yet that did that.
Okay, I'll get you whatever I have. I have a video from X of a man filming his Uzbeki neighbors.
We're talking about Haitians.
I mean, it's a dog, and they're just rotisserie cooking this thing over an open.
Yeah, but he didn't say people from Uzbekistan. He said Haiti. I want to see I want what he said on stage to be proven. They're eating dogs, cats, and goose in Springfield, Ohio, and they're Haitian migrants.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to get your email, but if you wanna, I'll DM you. And there's plenty of things I've seen on X. There's one where they're speaking Creole and she's cooking a cat over an open stove burner. So, I mean, look, and I live in a pretty populated Haitian area in South Florida. I have no problem with Haitians, but you can clearly hear them speaking Creole.
And you can,
the way it is. Like I said, it's a cultural difference.
Wait, but
we don't have to.
Well, here's the thing. Now, when you see them cooking it over the stove, as you say that they're speaking Creole, you can confirm the animal and the location of where this is happening.
I can't guarantee that it's in Springfield, but I mean, all the other metrics that you're asking for are met.
Yeah, but he said it's happening in Springfield. I mean, if they're showing you somebody doing it in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, that means that what he's saying is happening in Springfield may not be happening. I mean, you keep in mind there's 20,000 migrants there. It should be tons of videos that meet the parameters I just gave. It should be easy to find that stuff.
Also, yeah, sorry, Hanson, not to interrupt, but I'll send you also some of the town meetings that they had where people had been bringing this up in the past.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, like I said, people send me dozens of videos. I've seen people claiming it's happening, but then again, I've seen police officers and the mayor claiming it's not. So I don't really want to go with the videos of the accusations because I can show you ample people that are saying just the opposite. I want video footage of it happening. That's what I want to go with, as opposed to, well, here's a lady on the porch saying it's happening. Well, here's a cop saying it's not. So
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll DM you, and then if you want to provide me with an email, I'd be more than happy to give you some of that source material that I've seen.
Yeah, right on the front of the profile here, my email is listed. Certainly send me what you have. Like I said, I've had a lot of people send me stuff. You clearly have seen a cat, dog, and goose, right?
I haven't seen a goose yet. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't seen a goose, but I have seen a cat and a dog.
Okay, send me what you got. Like I said, 20,000 migrants. It should be. This is what I don't get. Why you haven't seen all three? I mean, if there's 20,000 people doing this, there should be heaps of videos floating around.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, the goose thing. That was. I believe people had seen geese being taken out of like ponds or whatever, right? And look, it's just a cultural thing. We need to. This gets into a larger topic of how do you absorb people from other cultures and bring them into the American way of life, where where we don't look at our dogs and cats as dinner. You know what I mean?
Well, let me interrupt by saying this. Before Trump said that, I had never personally heard it was a cultural thing for Haitians to eat cats and dogs. I mean, there have been a large amount of Haitian migrants in this country before you and I were born. There's over 500,000 of them living in the state of Florida alone. There's a ton of them, hundreds of thousands of them living in the state of New York. I had never heard that it was part of their culture to consume cats and dogs. When Trump said that, that was the first time I had ever heard that.
Yeah, and he maybe it was wrong with him, and as a Trump supporter, I'll admit when he's wrong. It's one of the.
It ain't wrong of. It's not wrong of Trump
to when it comes to their candidates.
Yeah, it's not wrong of Trump to say it if it's actually happening, but if he is saying something for which he has zero proof to 60 plus million people that were watching that debate, then it becomes wrong. But if he got solid evidence, it's not wrong.
Right. And look, for him to point it directly at the Asian community. Now, we've all heard like the stereotype where it's like
Asian.
You go to a Chinese restaurant and you're like,
right.
Man, is this cat meat, dog meat, or is this chicken?
Right.
We've all joked around about that before.
Right.
Because they just really don't, like I said, they don't have the same standards for what meat they'll eat and what they want.
But I get they don't have a. Yeah, I get that different cultures may eat different meat. But in regards to Haitians eating cats and dogs, now, had you heard that before what Trump said that day?
I've heard rumors and stuff about that. I had never actually seen video of it. But yeah, I've heard some stuff about that.
Yeah, that's my issue is that, like I said, we've had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Haitian migrants in this country before you and I were born. Yet it's this hard to find video? I mean, now you say you have a few videos, but there should be hundreds of videos every damn where. I mean, they've been in this country for...
In all fairness, man, you can't really put them up on TikTok because you know how it is here. If you want to go on X, they're all over the place. Okay. I'm going to let you know right now, X, you might lose your appetite, actually.
I watch... Yeah. Listen, I've been watching Ukrainians drop grenades on Russians for several months now, so I don't think eating a cat or a dog is going to lose my appetite. I've seen what can happen to a human body when it receives a grenade to the face, so I'll be all right, but I do want to see it. I do want to see it, and I want to see it from those parameters I suggested. It has to be proven it's in Springfield, proven it's a Haitian migrant, and proven that it is one of those three animals, because most of the videos I see feature text that is telling you what you're looking at. And I know for a fact, one of the most popular videos that was being passed around was a black woman that was not Haitian, and she was in Canton, Ohio. And that video's got millions of views because a lot of folks have been passing it around as a description of what is happening. And it didn't meet any of the parameters. It was wrong.
Yeah, and I think in a way that was like a way of disproving or whatever Trump's comment, because that's a case of just somebody that looked like they were mentally unstable or maybe had taken something that made them, in that altered state of mind where they were gnawing on the throat of a cat when the police pulled up.
Yeah, yeah, because I say it on the program I say it on the program all the time. It doesn't matter how primitive.
A way of disproving what Trump said, like, oh, let's throw this video up there.
No, this was being sent to me by Trump supporters. There are versions of that video that have text at the bottom that says, here's, something to the nature of Haitian migrant eating a cat. I mean, they were using that video to defend Trump, not to ridicule him.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's not right either. Look, we have to be objective, and when we get when claims are made, we do have to make sure we're being responsible when we put stuff out there. We can't just be willy-nilly throwing stuff out there and saying, here's a lady ripping the throat of a cat out with her bare teeth in Springfield, when it's not really that,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, and like I said, I've had that video. Because I've been asking for videos of this stuff since he said that about 2 or 3 months ago. I think it's been at least 2 months ago. And that Kenton, Ohio woman video, at least a dozen times I've had that sent to me by Trump supporters as proof that they are indeed eating these animals. And that, like I said, that video, she doesn't speak, so there's no way to know she's a Haitian migrant. The police car clearly says Canton, so it's not in Springfield. And she's with a cat, but as I often point out, no matter how primitive the culture is, even if it isn't their culture to eat a cat or a dog, they all use fire to cook the meat for consumption. Nobody just grabs a cat and just bites into it fur and all like that woman was doing outside on the ground. So, I mean, do we really believe Haitians just pick up a dog running around and just bite into it? I mean, so why anyone would send that? Huh?
Yeah. Here's the thing, and this is no indictment of Haitians as a whole, but you have to realize that this is a country where their main religious group are witch doctors, basically. You know, like that's their main. I don't mean that as a hateful thing or anything. It's, once again, it's a cultural difference. But there's some things like the whole voodoo. Voodoo, just in whole. That's where it comes from.
I heard that.
This is like a modern.
I've heard that I have heard that their predominant religion is actually Christianity. I know that voodoo may be a sect of their, but I've heard that they don't. Most of them don't practice voodoo.
Yeah, and I would have no way of knowing what each individual practices. The Haitians that I know, and I'm not sitting here trying to tokenize any group or anything, but I live right next to a very massive Haitian population here. I've never seen them like carrying around voodoo dolls or like, drinking blood from like a chalice or anything like that. But it is well known that for people that like, there's been missionaries that have spoken on that where they'll go to Haiti to do some sort of missionary work, and they'll run into a lot of voodoo practices. That's where the whole zombie, the ethos of like the modern zombie horror genre. Well, zombies come from Haitian voodoo ritual. So,
yeah, I think what's happening with that, it would be like, grabbing a group of Mormon that believe it's okay to marry a 14-year-old girl and saying that is the culture of Americans. I think the voodoo stuff, that might be something that some Haitians do, but I don't believe that is predominant within their culture. I mean, just like if I could give you all sorts of awful things between children and Catholics. Do we believe that is their culture to abuse kids? And I can tell you this, there's a ridiculous amount of cases of that happening. We don't believe that's the Catholic culture to abuse kids, do we?
Yeah, no. Look, all the religious groups have their parts to them that are not so savory, and they unfortunately, when you think of Catholics, the first thing that comes to mind is the negative things that we've heard about Catholics, or Mormons, or I'm Jewish. A lot of people have these stereotypes about Jewish people running the world, and like I'm a Khazarian mafia, banker, and all this stuff. I mean, those are just stereotypes. But I get what you're saying on that.
Yeah, and that's what's happening to some degree. I think that picking out the worst of Haitians is, to me, is what sounds like that. What is at play? Because there are Haitians all over the internet saying we don't eat cats. I mean, like I said, there's over 500,000 Haitians in Florida alone. I mean, there should be people in Florida claiming that their pets are missing every damn where. There's hundreds of thousands of them in the state of New York. You go into 5 boroughs. There's like whole neighborhoods that have a lot of Haitian people in them. And I don't ever remember people saying, well, if you go to that neighborhood, don't take your dog or your cat there. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll get your email and I'll send you what I have. I don't know if it's going to meet your 3 requirements for it being, I don't know how I would make sure of the location unless it's like, stamped.
If you don't have a location,
metadata or whatever.
Yeah, if you don't have a location, it's kind of hard to confirm if what is being shown to you is true or not. I mean, it could literally be somebody trying to defend, and I'm not saying it is, but it could literally be someone trying to defend Trump by sending you a video of some child in Cantonese eating a cat. I mean, or in Vietnam somewhere. If you can't verify where it's at, then it really isn't solid proof. But I got to move it on. Red Dawn, appreciate you coming in.
One quick story, man.
Real
I was
quick.
in Indianapolis, and there's a large group of people from Cambodia that live in Indianapolis. And I was doing door-to-door sales. They had the bottom of their garage. It was probably like a foot open. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I like kind of stuck my head down there. And they had this tarp on the ground. And they were straight like butchering a freaking pig there. And like, I'm like, holy crap, dude. Yeah. And I kind of backed up because they had machetes and stuff. I'm like, oh, have a good day, man.
All right, appreciate you coming through. Real quickly, and by the way, there's a whole lot of cultures that butcher pigs. I mean, at the end of the day, how do you think we get pork chops? We just have technology to make it a little bit more clinical, but I mean, that's kind of what we used to do too. I mean, there's a reason why I love to eat pork chops. Real quick in the comments, Damian H, and this is in caps, I don't know why, but he says, Judge Joe Brown just dropped a video of, now it used to be called Tampon Tim. This is Tim Walsh he's referring to. But now instead of calling him Tampon Tim, he's calling him Trans Tampon Tim in drag twerking. And yes, that was him. You so-called men in the chat voting for Kamala. Let me just say this in regards to that. Now, and by the way, Judge Joe Brown has zero credibility. I mean, he pretty much is a pundit. I mean, it's obvious Judge Joe Brown is in the tank for Trump. And I mean, anytime you hear of Judge Joe Brown within the last year or two, it's just been like liberal hate pieces. He's no different than Rachel Maddow or, Joy Behar of The View. I mean, he pretty much is doing the same thing for the other side. So if you don't favor MSNBC or some of the liberal talking heads, that's kind of all Judge Joe Brown really is at this point. I mean, he doesn't have any relevance other than attacking liberals. But in regards to your statement there, Damien, and I'll go to the box after this, Damien, in regards to your statement that, what do you call it? Trans Tampon Tim was in drag twerking. You do realize there's a video of J.D. Vance dressed like a woman floating around, or there's photos of him dressed like a woman, don't you? I mean, I just want to point it out. If you're going to bring up Tim Walsh dressed in drag, you do realize there is a photo of J.D. Vance dressed that way. Or does that not matter? Does that not matter? Look at it. Okay, let me go back to the comments. I think he has credibility because he did attend a lot of legal hearings when Biden was a junior senator. That doesn't mean that. Red Dawn Radio, there are liberals that attended Trump's court cases. Do you think they have credibility? Plenty of liberals were going into court when Trump got those alleged, well, they're not alleged, they've been official. When Trump received his 34 felonies, there are plenty of liberals in the courtroom. Would you view them as credible since you're giving Judge Joe Brown credibility for going in on Biden? I don't think you would. I don't think you would. So let's just be fair about it. And I see in the comments, someone asked me, who am I in the tank for? It really depends on who you ask. Now, obviously, MAGA, when I'm critical of Trump, MAGA thinks I'm in a tank for liberals. When I'm critical of Kamala or certainly Biden, I used to be so critical of Biden, MAGA thought I was part of the group. So, listen, at the end of the day, when you're kind of in the middle, you're a piece of shit to everybody. And I am able to see things that are right and wrong on both sides of the aisle. Like, for instance, when I brought up that Kamala Harris lied at the debate and wasn't fact-checked, the left went ape shit on me. So, at the end of the day, I can see both sides. Alter ego, yeah! Thank you for the hat mustache. Mutt, anytime, I'm always happy to give as honest of an answer as I can give. Brian Pocket Fours, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. 23 days ago, 22 days actually. Oh, I brought Jeremy up. Jeremy, my fault. I hit the fat finger. Okay, we can work with it. So what are you voting? What the hell are you voting for? That's what the live stream is titled. We weren't really going to go into dogs and cats, but it came up in the last conversation. But that's the predominant question. What the hell are you voting for? Because the polls are saying this is still fairly close.
I'm voting mostly for two things. Number one, a better economy, and number two, a stronger border. And I guess if you want to throw in a more intimidating president who can prevent future wars, I guess you could also argue that too.
You want the president to be intimidating?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yes. Why? Why? I don't see why not. I mean, not like tyrannical, but like when people are afraid of you, they at least fall in the line.
I prefer,
as long as they don't feel like you're tyrannical.
I prefer a healthy amount of respect. Let's say, for instance, I know that you can kick ass, or I know you got a hell of a war chest, or whatever. I know not to fuck with you, but you cool with me. We hang out. We cool together. I have a healthy respect for you. I don't want to hang around somebody I'm scared of or that intimidates me. That ain't cool to hang around that person. I don't want to hang out with Suge Knight. I want to hang out with somebody I can respect. So I don't know if I favor that one. Do you like hanging out with
Suge Knight? Wants to hang out with Suge Knight.
Well, yeah, but I'm just asking. Do you have any friends that you feel that intimidate you, that you're scared of?
I guess maybe you're a little bit more accurate to what I was trying to get at.
All right.
I say intimidating more like as in they have an intimidating side, but I definitely agree with that. They don't. I wouldn't want somebody. This is where I would say you would be tyrannical. I would say I wouldn't want somebody who feels like they get what they want only through bullying. I would only want somebody who looks like they can make you feel afraid if you cross them.
Keep in mind, it's almost, because keep in mind, whether it's Kamala Harris, whether it's Biden, whether it is Trump, they all got the same weapon on their closet shelf. I mean, it don't matter who moves in the house comes with an AK. I mean, what I'm saying is the U.S. military is the U.S. military. So even if you get Kamala Harris, or the difference between Kamala Harris and Trump is just what they think in the mind, but they're still going to use the same generals and the same U.S. force. I mean, Kamala Harris would have access to the U.S. military just like Trump would. So
yeah, I know.
So
well, that's true, but it's a matter of how they use it too. That matters, So like for one thing that I really am glad that Trump is going to do is he's going to get rid of DEI. And I definitely think that would be concerning if it ever made it to the military. DEI is already just a cancerous thing as it is, and I just want our military to be strong.
Give me your definition of DEI: diversity, equity, inclusion. What's your
It's basically, are you part of a historically either oppressed group or a marginalized group, or are you a part of some group that is a protected class? Okay. Yes. Okay. We're just going to make it so that way you're more likely to be hired, even if you don't meet the actual meritocratic qualifications.
And you believe giving people a position, regardless if they are qualified or not, would make our military weaker?
Absolutely. I think it's kind of common sense that the military is one of the more meritocratic points in our government. Now,
wait, hold on. Let me push back on that. Let me push back on that real quick by saying this. And I agree with you. Giving somebody a position they don't qualify for could certainly make the military weaker. But my pushback would be, you do realize that most of America's history, that's the way our military was ran. I mean, you're a white guy, I'm a black guy. If you and I were both trying to get a promotion, let's say for general or even colonel, and I was more qualified than you, who was going to get that job from the beginning of America's foundation to probably about 1970? Who was going to get that position?
That's a good point, but I would say that was never a good thing to begin with.
But the military wasn't weak. We still was a superpower during a lot of that time.
Yes, but other militaries also did something similar. And the thing is, so they were just as disadvantaged. In fact, here's a good example of what I mean. So, back in the way old days, like I think this is around the Middle Ages, there was a group in Hungary called the Black Knights, and these knights were elites. And why were they elites? Because the king at the time got rid of a lot of the old ways of doing things, where like the leaders of armies would usually come from noble houses, and instead it was based more on your effectiveness on the battlefield, and he would give away large swaths of land and to those who were the most effective. And they were such an elite force that until they were disbanded by one of the kings that came on later, who was jealous of the knight's effectiveness, they held back the Muslim Ottoman Turks for a long time. I mean, were considered one of the key players. This is a clear demonstration of how meritocracy always wins. And I swear, or even in the times where America was more racist and did not promote people based on skin color, we were only strong because other places that were just as ignorant and just didn't have the same things that we did.
Okay, well, let me. Yeah, you confused me. By the way, Mira, thank you for the super chat. Says Miss Mo Better is voting for Gen X and his sandwich. I don't know if either one of them are on right now, Mira, but thank you. You guys in his sandwich. But listening to what you're saying, Jeremy, like I said, you started out by saying the military would be weaker if people got positions that they weren't qualified for. And as I just told you, and by the way, it wasn't just the military. I don't care if you wanted to be school principal, you wanted to be the police chief, you wanted to, get a job at the fire department. In every case, from 1776 to damn near 1976, you would have got the job over me, regardless if I was more qualified than not. And we remained a strong nation. I don't know why all of a sudden DEI was going to greatly weaken us when it suddenly had jobs going to minorities, because we've proven that we can be a strong nation while doing it.
We can only do, well, see, here's the thing. So you are correct in a way, but you're incorrect about this. So let me explain. So even when blacks and other minorities were not allowed to, were given heavy discrimination, we were still meritocratical within the system of people who were considered approved.
What do you mean?
So these are like the people. These are, when I say approved, I'm talking about the people who were favored. So usually Anglo-Saxon whites, right? Those are the people who most people,
right.
Including when the Irish were coming over, the Irish were not treated the same. Anglo-Saxon whites, even within their ranks, they had a meritocratical system within them, but they obviously, the racial part was not very meritocratical. So on some level, we still had meritocracy have its final say. Now, I will say this: have you ever seen the movie Hidden Figures?
Yeah, that's another good example of women that didn't get the recognition they deserved for it. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, but look at how much better it was, because we went against the normal way things would be done, which is where we said, okay, you women are actually really, really good. Let's give you a little bit to work with. They didn't get the credit they deserve, but without them, where would we be? Would we have even made it? Again, it shows that it was wrong back then and it's wrong now. And and I would think it would be regressive. Even if it's the minorities that are getting the advantages, it would still be regressive to take out merit and to go back to.
I don't know, because you're using a movie like Hidden Figures. If those women that played those characters, I think Taraji P. Henson, if those women had been white, not only would they have been given their proper due for the job they did, they would have likely been promoted very high up in NASA to the point where the whole space program as a whole would be further along, because you can be sure that they weren't the only ones there that had that type of knowledge. Not to mention how many people applied for the job that may have had the mathematical knowledge that they had, whose resumes or applications were not even seen. So I will tell you that, because you're talking about if we do this in the military, in my opinion, our space program is probably years, if not generations, behind what it should be, because so many women like them never got a say. So,
but then you're disagreeing with me. That it would be better to just not have anything based on something so unbelievably insignificant as race in the first place, and also based on gender, because we know that if they were male, they probably also gotten a little bit better treated as well.
But I don't think any of that really has any, because I got folks in the comments right now telling me only a weak man would vote for a woman for president. They're still trying to do it. They're still trying to do it. Huh?
Yeah, well, screw them. They're stupid. They don't speak for my side.
They are your side. I mean, what are you talking about? It is your side. You don't hear Democrats saying that a woman should never be. Well, maybe a few of them, but most of the people who think a woman should never be president, they are your side. That's where it's coming from.
Yeah, but they're a minority within the group.
Okay.
Most of us know that, like, it's not about the fact that she's a woman. It's the fact that she's using her gender in place of her qualifications. If she was actually better, and she actually had good ideas that I actually agreed with, I'd be like, okay, I would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard.
You know something? I don't know if I feel confident. I'll say this. I think any woman, I don't care if she's white, Irish, whatever, any woman that runs for the nation's highest office, there are going to be a healthy amount of people that say she's using her gender to get where she's at. I mean, it's going to come up. It doesn't for some reason when men do it, but if a woman runs for that office, I'm sure it was said by Hillary Clinton, would have been said by Nikki Haley. If a woman runs for that office, people are going to say that the only reason she got there is because people are promoting her for her gender.
Yeah, but you could reverse that and say that like for all the men who have ever won, you could say, you know, they only won because America is sexist towards women, and women would never be given the same chance as a man.
Well, that's probably true, though. When you think of how long in America where women couldn't have most positions. Hell, women couldn't even have a bank account until maybe about 60, 70 years ago. I mean, so most of America's history, that is true. They could not do that stuff.
Yeah, but look at for how many years it hasn't been true. And I will say this. I think in both situations, both people are wrong, and they don't represent why. The whole question is, who will you vote for? Or my answer is, I'll vote for the person I feel who will actually run the country the best. So even if like Tom, Dick, and Harry all decide, I don't want to vote for a woman because my wife divorced me and I'm mad and I live at home with my mama, you know, if that's their prerogative, that's not mine. I don't care about them.
Fair enough. I do got to move it on, but before I do, I seen the comments. Stop playing with me. That's it. Stop playing with me is this person's name. But anyway, they said, how can you believe that Trump is qualified and Kamala Harris is not qualified? Then you're not being honest. How do you respond to folks who say, if you think Trump is qualified for the job, Kamala Harris was an attorney general, she was a district attorney, she was a senator, vice president. Her resume on paper does look like somebody climbing a ladder to become president. So how do you respond to folks who might say that she has more than enough qualifications?
Well, the simple answer is this. The deeper you look into both of their paper resumes, the more it starts to reverse, where Trump seems to look more qualified. A well-documented, wealthy businessman. Yes, I know he got a loan, but loans you pay back. Who was very, very successful and managed to do something that so few people have ever done, which is be an absolute nobody with no prior experience and then get the highest office in the land, versus somebody who can arguably saying got her job on her knees.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. You're gonna bring hold on, hang on. I'll let you rebut, even though I'm moving on. I'll give you a moment to push back and respond. Sure. But how are you gonna bring up that if you look at what's on their records, Kamala Harris got her job because she was on her knees, but you don't bring up the felonies. You don't bring up January. You only bring up Trump being a successful businessman, but you skip over all, because you do realize that's all on his resume. 34 felonies. You could barely even work at McDonald's. How do you skip over all of that and then bring up she was on her knees?
Very, very simple. Very, very simple. I don't care that she's a woman. I don't like people who get somewhere where they aren't supposed to be based on things that aren't good, like doing services for people like Willie. But at the same time, if you look at Trump's appeal, the lawyers who were trying to put Trump away at the appeals process basically asked the court by the time it was all done, please don't sanction us, because they know they don't have a case.
Well, that will be seen due to the outcome of his appeal. But Jeremy, as always a pleasure talking to you. We don't agree on the damn thing today, but you're always welcome back.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, anytime. All right, moving on with the program. In the comments, Kamala Harris still has babies in her throat from her last promotion, says Ludwig. Oh my God. You guys really don't believe Kamala Harris earned her way at all, huh? Just all by sexual exploits. You know, here's where I have an issue. We can look at Kamala Harris and some love affair she had some 40 years ago and hold her accountable for that. But meanwhile, there are literally nude pictures of Melania Trump online where you can see her completely butt-ass naked and it doesn't come up. She is a woman that's 30 some odd years junior of an old ass guy like Trump that she married that's super wealthy. How about suggesting that she slept her way to her position? If we're being fair, if we're going to bring up Kamala Harris's her exploits some 34, probably 40 years ago, that was in the 80s. If we're going to bring that up, how does Kamala Harris, how does Melania Trump escape the same ridicule? Now, she's not running for president, but she is the lady. When have we ever had a first? Can you imagine thinking that one day you could go online and see the first lady butt-ass naked? Comments, nice guy 1515 says she's not running for public office. Hello. So that just means it's completely meaningless. A first lady where you can see completely nude, but because she's not running for office, it doesn't really. Are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? If that was Michelle Obama or Hillary Clinton when Bill was, would you really have that same opinion? Are you kidding me? Looking in the comments, somebody says better looking than any other first lady. Yeah, because seeing her naked improves her outlook. Continuing on with the program, I go back to the box, bringing up the next guest, Brian Pocket Fours. God, I can't believe people are criticizing Kamala Harris, but Melania Trump's viewed as a first lady hero of sorts. That doesn't make sense to me. What does that say? How long? Hang on a second there, Brian. How low have we gone today? I agree with that. If we're okay with the first lady being completely nude online, but what Kamala Harris did 40 years ago matters. Yeah, that's a good question. How low have we gone? Brian, what am I missing? Good evening.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Hanging around like Mike Pence.
You know me, like a hair and a biscuit, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. I just say, Tim, all the time. All you do is give people shovels and let them dig their own graves. Do you remember this?
I remember you saying
that. I've been on your program before. I hope you remember this.
I do remember that. I'll never forget a statement like that. I do remember that.
Yes, and you do that. You're very good at it, actually. And I enjoy your program. I watch it a lot.
Thank you.
The problem is this: is that people have just lost common sense. And the thing is that, and I'll say it a million times: if I had gone into a coma in 1998, and you woke me up today and told me that Donald Trump was the president of the United States, I would go, what in the hell went wrong? Just because of, it doesn't have anything to do with his politics. It's just him as a person.
I don't know. Okay, you said if I went in a coma in 98. Back in 98, Trump was considered a pretty cool dude. He was still highly respected. If I went into a coma in 98 and came back, this rich dude, keep in mind, Ronald Reagan was an actor. So was Arnold Schwarzenegger. The only reason Arnold Schwarzenegger couldn't run is he wasn't born in America. But we've had some actors become president. It wouldn't be that surprising if your cutoff period was 1998.
Tim, in my lifetime, I've never seen a dude or a female go on national television and just completely outright lie.
Yeah, but he hadn't
1,000 times in a row.
Yeah, but he wasn't known for that. That's why I brought up.
I've seen him manipulate things, and that's it. But the dude just lies.
But that's why I pushed back on you. Hang on, hold on.
I don't understand how he gets one vote.
But that's why I pushed back on you, because you said 1998. A lot of the things that people do not like Trump for He wasn't doing any of that in 1998. He was favorable to, the people of color, the black community. I mean, even females. They didn't have a problem. A lot of his most controversial statements.
You know what they did, right? You know
what
the Trump. Well, you understand what redlining is, right?
Yeah, people didn't know about that in '98. Most of Americans didn't know about that.
Yeah, well, let me explain it to you. So what they did was they stopped people from buying homes.
I know what it is.
The color of their skin.
Yeah, he was putting.
They did that for years.
Yeah, he was putting the letter C. He was putting the letter C on his applications. I'm aware of what he was doing. He's putting the letter C on the application. They had to settle out of court. But that's New Yorkers that knew about that. Most Americans did not.
Right, that's why I'm here.
Okay, fair enough. But that's the point.
Listen to me. I'm a Republican.
But you don't like Trump.
I will not vote for this man.
Give me. No. Are you going to vote for Kamala?
Yes.
And you're a Republican. What would make you switch from Trump to Kamala?
Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Do you really have to ask the question?
Yes, I have to ask.
The guy lies about everything that he does. He's a liar. I'm a Republican. I want the Republican Party back the way that it used to be, where I can have a sensible conversation with people and not have backlash about things that people don't even know about. He talks about tax cuts and things like that. These people don't even pay taxes. You know what I mean? Like, you don't pay taxes. I pay taxes. I pay a lot of taxes.
So
I do.
It almost sounds like you're saying. It almost sounds like you're saying that Trump supporters are part of the poorly educated or something. You're saying they don't even know what they're talking about.
No, they have no clue.
Wow.
No, they don't know. They're voting against their best interest.
But what about the economy? But Brian, what about the economy? The fact that there were no wars, you could afford gas. I mean,
sure. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. The economy. Are you talking about the Main Street or the Wall Street economy?
Let's go with both of them. How were you doing economically under Trump versus Biden?
I'm doing great under Biden. But that's because I have money.
Okay.
And I'm not. So I can say that the people that live in Main Street economy aren't doing as well. What I can say is don't go and buy McDonald's and then bitch about the price.
Yeah.
That's the way capitalism is a two-way street, my friends.
But,
I'm sorry, but if you don't like the prices, don't shop there.
But I mean, is that really
People will spend money, man. People will spend money. They'll go and buy and get a 26% interest rate on a truck that they don't even need a truck for.
What kind of jacked up campaign? Wait, hold on, hang on, Jeremy. Brian, what kind of jacked up campaign slogan is that? If you don't like McDonald's, don't buy. Under Trump, I could go buy as many combo meals as I want, but now I get Biden, and all of a sudden you're telling me, well, if you don't like the price, don't buy it? What is that?
Sure. So I can rebut that. What I will say is this. What I will say is that the minute it went up, you should stop shopping at that store.
But Trump is promising it won't. But Trump is promising it won't go up.
He can't promise that. That's a complete lie.
Bro, he's promising. I get you.
He can't promise that.
But he is promising it, though. He is promising that.
And you know what? As a capitalist and a Republican, almost, I'm damn near. What I'm saying is that it's a two-way street. Stop spending your money on stupid shit. We're in a lull, man. The COVID caused a problem, yeah. and that's the way it works.
But you do understand people are going to say, as opposed to listening to Biden or Harris that says stop buying stupid shit. Trump has stated, when I come back in the White House, you'll be to buy what you want and enjoy your life. You won't have to be so selective with what you buy. You'll have more money.
Bullshit. This is such bullshit. Listen to me. Trump cannot control, and he doesn't have the money nor the power to control what happens. And none of this shit is going to happen. No one's going to do it. They're not going to lower prices. They're not going to end wars. They're not going to do any of this shit. It's not happening. What I'm saying is that if you want the country to change, make a fucking pot of chili on Monday and eat it all week.
You really telling me? But do you realize how horrible that sounds? Vote for Kamala Harris, make a fucking pot of chili and eat it all week. Well, under Trump, we could go shopping, buy all different types of groceries and really eat comfortably. Now under Kamala Harris, buy a fucking pot of chili and eat the same damn thing Monday through Friday. Do you realize how bad that sounds?
No, I don't realize how bad it sounds because I've been through bad economies. What I'm saying is that gas isn't going to be any better. Food isn't going to be any better. None of this shit is going to be any better under Trump than it is now.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and you could be. What you're saying is probably more likely accurate than not. But running on buy a fucking pot of chili.
Nothing.
Huh?
It has nothing to do with the president of the United States. Not
Well,
a fucking thing.
Not necessarily. Let me ask you this, because we do have a lot of folks that have migrated to the country. Let's say over the last 4 years, over the last 10 years. If Trump does what he is promising, which is get rid of not only the illegal immigrants, but a hell of a lot of the recent legal migrants too, would that not free up jobs and affect the economy at all?
No, it would not, because you cannot pay Americans to do the work that they're doing. End of story. So if you want to pay $20 for a fucking strawberry, deport them. I'm just telling you the way economics works, man. This is economics 101.
Yeah.
It's $20 for a fucking strawberry. It's $20 for half a pound of broccoli. I mean, this is the way this shit is going to work. So I'm just telling you the truth of the shit, man. These are facts, man.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to take those jobs. Nobody's going to do it. My son, I've got a fucking 18-year-old son, and let me tell you something, I can't get his lazy ass out of the bed, you know? And I'm a 22-year military retired veteran, and I'm telling you, I can't get him to do shit. You know what I mean? Like, am I upset about it? Sure, but do I understand that progress has to happen? Absolutely.
And I'm trying my best, Brian, to challenge you, but you're definitely winning it with my TikTok. Now my YouTube audience hates you, but on TikTok, our chaotic dog said he's the smartest on the internet yet. So folks are favoring what you're saying on that side, but my YouTube audience thinks you're
yes, listen to me, the American people. Listen to me. If the shit is too expensive, don't buy it. End of story. Don't buy shit you don't have to buy. Wow. Don't do that.
You know what you sound like when you say that? If the shit is too expensive, don't buy it. You almost sound like somebody would say, well, if you don't like our abortion laws, move to another damn state. That's how solid, that's how unsympathetic you sound when you say that.
What do you mean?
If you don't like the shit, don't buy it. That you don't see where that might...
No, I'm not saying if you don't like the shit. What I'm saying, if the shit is too expensive, just don't buy it.
Yeah, but what if it's
we can all live in a sanitary world in which we can live within our means, but we are so fucking spoiled.
But Brian, wait a minute. Wait, when you say if the shit is too expensive, don't buy it. What if the shit you're talking about is somebody's rent or somebody's prescription? We're talking about essentials. Shit is too expensive too.
I think that when now listen to me. I'm not talking about your big purchases. That's not what I'm talking about. Your rent, your mortgage.
What about a tank of gas? What about a tank of gas?
Yes.
What about a tank of gas?
Those things need to be handled, and I think that the administration that's coming in has a better plan.
You do
has a better plan than what Trump does. I do believe that.
Well, let me ask you that.
Stop stopping at the fucking gas station and buying a $4 Coke. Stop that shit.
Wow.
It makes you broke, man. It makes you broke.
I never thought of that. Now, because I buy a Coke at the gas station every day, so you talking to my ass when you say that. I'm not broke, but I'm thinking like, damn, you coming on strong. So you say that you believe that the Biden Harris, or better yet, Kamala Harris, has a better plan. I want to ask you this: what is her plan to get the economy back on track?
I like this increase on the 25%. I like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that she's saying that makes sense. That the poor people, man, listen. In elections, what happens in this election, if we vote the wrong way, is poor people get poorer and rich people get richer. And that's what's going to happen if you don't vote the right way. And I'm sorry, but it's going to fucking happen that way. And I am rich. It is price gouging. I'm reading the comments. It's price gouging. But if you don't shop that shit and you don't buy it, then they have no choice.
And you sure
or go broke.
You sure you're a Republican? Mr. Realistic on YouTube. I want you to hear this comment. And by the way, Realistic, thank you for that very kind super chat. Says, he's referring to you, Brian. He says he's saying that we are importing slaves for $2 strawberries. He says, I am a stout Republican, and he's suggesting that you are just lost. Now, you are indeed saying that if we get rid of the immigrants, you said a strawberry would cost $20. So what he is saying is, so in other words, what you're doing is you're admitting that we're importing slaves so that the price of fruit will stay low. Is he not correct? Repeat.
Absolutely.
Are you okay with that?
I mean, I don't know how else to do it unless we shut down as a nation. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I agree with it or not, but it's the way it has to be. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that you can't get fucking white dudes to go roof houses every day. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't do that.
I ain't gonna touch that one.
Maybe in some sectors, but this ain't gonna happen, man. Like, they're gonna quit on day one. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard.
Are you telling me white men ain't hard workers? Wait a minute. You said they're going to quit on day one. You telling me white men don't work hard? You're a white guy.
No, exactly. And I mean, I'm a retired military guy. But what I'm telling you is that everybody that mows every lawn in my fucking neighborhood and does everything around me, they're all imported. Every one of them.
Wow.
And without them, you don't, you would, I'm sorry, I'm just telling the truth. And I hate that it has to be the truth. I do. I hate that it has to be the truth, but it is.
All right.
We're in a different economy in our country. We're in a different economic area than what we used to be.
Strong stuff. Brian, I can talk to you all day, but unfortunately I got to part ways with you. Very interesting conversation. Hey, come on back anytime, man. Certainly enjoyed that. A lot of folks viewing the show believe you kicked my ass on that, but you're always welcome back, Brian. Thank you. And thank you for your service, by the way, as well.
Y'all be good, buddy.
All right. Appreciate it. Now, on my YouTube side, I understand, folks, we're on two platforms simultaneously. My TikTok audience leans a little bit more left. My YouTube audience, just the opposite. Now, they had a totally different opinion of Brian, my last guest. 4 years ago, it was COVID and high unemployment. Well, yeah, during the middle of the pandemic, right now, if you go back 4 years ago from today, you're talking about November of 2020. It was a disaster. Yeah, it was not good 4 years ago today. Right now, it's not. So, and that's probably why I don't think I've heard Trump, not in recent time, use that phrase, were you better off 4 years ago? I think he would know that would probably not be a good thing to use. No one would have gained more from TPP than U.S. farmers and ranchers who would have significantly improved access to the notoriously closed agricultural markets of Asian countries. There's a lot to tackle there. I'll let it be. I'll leave it as. I mean, you might be... I don't know. It may be kind of twisting some of that up. I don't know if I totally agree with that. From 2016 to 2020, everything was more affordable, whether you agree with it or not, laughing my ass off, keeping it real. Now, a lot of folks, before I go to the next caller, and by the way, tap the screen. I haven't solicited that on TikTok at all. We should be around 30,000, but we can get around 20 if you guys would tap the screen, show some appreciation to the program. It helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. Understand, for folks who may be new watching this, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So you can be critical of anyone in the comments and up to and including your host. We don't limit your time because you got a different damn opinion. It's all about free speech. That's how that works here. And if you favor that type of dialogue, civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, without people getting blocked, banned, or censored because they got a different damn opinion, then you're in the right place. Follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. We're generally here Monday through Friday, but up to Election Day, we'll be here every day. Going back to the box, indeed, seeing political TikTok was on hold there. Good afternoon. By the way, prices aren't going up. The dollar is losing value. I'll tell you this, Walmart claims they reduced the price of hundreds of items in their stores. I'll tell you, gas prices are going down. Things are actually going down. And I'm not saying the Biden economy is back where it was during Trump, but the Biden economy of today is not what it was in, say, late 2021. Things have gotten better. People just don't want to really acknowledge that because it would be favorable maybe to Kamala Harris, but it ain't as bad as it was 2-3 years ago. I'll just say that. The box seems to be hesitant, so we'll give it a moment to reset and we'll continue on with the program. Says Movie Mounds was talking to Bree. Americans don't receive top dollar minimum wage. No, listen, I lived overseas. I know our minimum wage sucks. I mean, I'll just tell you this. The fact that minimum wage hasn't moved for like 20 years in some states kind of tells you all you need to know. When Walmart reduced prices, they expect their vendors to pay, and this causes layoffs. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes because I know Walmart fired a bunch of cashiers for automated equipment, and I don't know any story of the prices of food went down or anything like that. So I always hate when folks say, well, if you're getting employees more, the price of everything will go up. But if you don't raise minimum wage, then why the price of everything ain't going down? If things go automated, like Walmart has gotten rid of so many damn cashiers, why hasn't their food gotten cheaper? So it's really a case of we'll pass on the bad to the consumers, but the good we'll keep in pocket. Then you shouldn't allow them to pass it on. Real quick in the comments while we'll bring up the next box. I'm talking about vendor labor gets reduced. I hear what you're saying, but what I am telling you is when good things happen for Walmart, such as a minimum wage not increasing for 20 years, why aren't they bragging about how, the price of their products did not raise up? The price goes up when they have to pay employees more, but when they don't have to pay employees shit year to year, they still keep raising the price of goods in there. So it's going to happen no matter what. That's all I'm saying. It's going to happen no matter what. I have not heard anything remotely valid so far. Walmart has not reduced prices, buddy. Come on. Actually, they have. I know because I was an over-the-road driver. I'll go to the box. Guys tapping the screen, get the likes up to about 20,000. I was an over-the-road driver for 5 years almost. I've been off the road now for about 4. And because I ate the same thing often, I was stopping at Walmarts all over the country. I knew how much a salad would cost or how much a pot pie would cost or one of them Patti LaBelle sweet potato pies. And when I got off the road, when Biden became president, because there was no freight during COVID, the price of shit shot up. Now, the price of things are certainly still higher than they were when I was on the road. And I got off the road in February of 2020. There was just no freight moving around because everything was closed down. So I stopped driving and got a day job doing something else. But the price of goods, I was still shopping at Walmart just locally. And the price of shit was way up there. It's come down. Not as far as it was when I was driving, but it has come down. And I don't think you should, if you shop at the same place, you should have seen that. To say you haven't seen that, which would go back to the other statement I mentioned earlier. You pass on the bad, but you keep the good. Perfect example. If gas prices go up, everything's going to go up. Well, gas prices have come down. Why ain't the shit coming down? So I want to tell you that. There's no denying the price of fuel over the last 2 or 3 years have come down. Then why ain't the price of the product coming down? Because you claim that if the price of fuel goes up, everything goes up. Price of fuel has been coming down. Let me go back to the box. Gas is around $3 on average in most American cities. Andy, good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Andy. As always, good to see you on, Andy.
Hello.
Hey.
Your guest was very, very informative. That's why I gave him lots and lots of coins.
Oh, that was coming from you. Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I seen the comments was going ape shit for him. They definitely favor what he was saying. Now he's a Republican. Did he sound Republican to you though?
Yeah.
Really?
He wasn't talking about he wasn't talking about liberal issues, and he only told the truth about the economy. And since when is telling the truth about an economy to sound liberal? Like, that's just insane to me.
Yeah, you raise a good point. I didn't ask him some of the, traditional questions like how do you feel about the Second Amendment or a woman's right to choose. We weren't talking strictly about the economy. So I kind of, but the notion of telling people, if you don't like the price of this, don't eat it, don't go in the gas station and buy soda.
That is how you get them to stop. I mean, that is how, look, they all want capitalism, but they, when they're making the profit, they're like, oh, you let those companies make as much profit as, the market will allow, till they got to pay it.
Yeah, but then people are going to favor Trump, somebody that is telling you, if I'm president, you can go to the grocery store and buy what you want, buy a steak, have a good meal, as opposed to this guy saying, don't even buy a soda at the gas station.
But he's not wrong. When you look at like what these prices, like Walmart, they were scamming people $1 per item at the checkout at the without the cashiers.
Yeah.
Because it was electronic. People don't pay attention. It is not the rest of the world's fault if you are not paying attention to where your damn money goes.
Yeah, but you're talking about Kamala Harris.
Well,
literally.
You cannot. I'm not talking about her. We're talking about the economy, and I'm not talking about either candidate. I'm talking about you cannot cheerlead. Oh, let them make all the money they want. Then when you got to buy Coke and it's $4, go, damn, this is the president's fault. No, it don't work that fucking way. It don't. You can't cheer for both sides. I'm so sick of Republicans doing that. It's annoying as shit. Like, we hate socialistic programs, but by God, you better give North Carolina and West Virginia their damn money.
That is a real good point in regards to the FEMA argument. That is a social program. If you're talking about giving them money, that would be the same thing as asking, to get somebody universal health care. Just because they went through a disaster doesn't change it from being a social program. It's what they would normally refer to as socialism.
You're supposed to have insurance.
Yeah.
To cover your stuff. And not only that, if we were to be holding people accountable, we would be holding the electric companies responsible for not putting any money back into their companies and keeping up their product and allowing their product to destroy other people's houses.
Well, Trump is more favorable to less regulation. So, I mean, what you're talking about...
Well, then don't complain then Republicans need to settle down and quit crying when a whole U.S. city's wiped off the map. Ooh. Because this is what happens when you're for deregulation. You can't have it both ways. You sit there and go, well, they can say, I don't care what they say. You either are for it and you want everybody to have it, or you don't want anybody to have it.
Mm. Well, what
constant perpetual whining about how Democrats treat them so badly and it's not fair and this, that, and the other. While meanwhile, everything that we have done, everything they have done, we have been accused of and not done any of. Please, I'm tired of them.
Well, what about the notion that they're claiming that if it wasn't for Democrats, these damn open borders, they would have money at FEMA?
Well, that's just not true because Tommy Tuberville admitted that he didn't vote for that. And Tommy also said, at some point we're going to have to turn off the faucet. So Tommy is straight up telling Republicans, we are not voting for that social program anymore. So if they don't like it, they should vote Tommy out and the Republicans just like him.
Mm. And I see in the comments, Mr. Splackerville says...
a comment that said, boy, you can find that in the Alabama.com. It's got Tommy Tuberville. It's got FEMA lies about what he said about FEMA, what's not true, what is true, and you can find all that at AL.com.
Yeah, but people are gonna readily say FEMA is a federal organization right now under the Biden administration's control, and FEMA's just doing what they can to protect the liberals. I mean, they're not gonna trust what's coming from FEMA.
Actually, isn't doesn't it fall under the umbrella of Homeland Security?
It's a federal organization, though.
I don't remember blaming FEMA when Donald Trump didn't give the money that North Carolina asked for last time.
Well, you know how that
That
works.
was Donald Trump who did that.
Yeah.
But if he had left FEMA alone and let it run, like it's ridiculous. They're very hypocritical.
Yeah.
You cannot complain on both sides of the thing and expect anybody to have any compassion for you or look at you like you have any sense.
And I see in the comments, President Mr. Splaggerville says President quid pro quo is not our savior. Amen. So I think he kind of agrees with you. User 955 in the comments says, I work at Whole Foods. What people spend on water when you can walk to a sink. Yeah, I guess I see some of the points there. We are a wasteful society. But Trump is going to...
Let me give you an example, Tim. When we were kids in the 70s, like, we got presents like clothes. Our mama put them on layaway at the Walmart or the Target or the Zare or whatever and paid that shit off. We didn't get nice, expensive, $1,000 games or new phones. People have forgotten that their wants and their needs are not the same things. The things you actually need are one thing. But most Americans complain about their wants and how much money they spend. Meanwhile, like we said before, I got MAGA supporters yelling at me about a bad economy, driving a dually with a rap job on it, wearing a Trump shirt, got a Trump flag, traveled across 4 states to go to Trump rallies, but damn, the economy's bad.
Yeah, there's a guy, I watch a lot of Trump rallies. I've been watching almost every one of them over the last few months. And there's a guy, what is it called?
$1 million on a bus.
Yeah, there's a guy called, something, Front Row Joe. Front Row, he's been to 200 and some odd Trump rallies. I don't know how wealthy that guy is, but he's been to like 200 plus Trump rallies. They call him Front Row Joe, and Trump often points him out at the rallies because he's in the front row, which means not only is he going to them all, he's getting there early enough to get the front row seat, because I've been to a couple of Trump rallies and I was in line like 5 or 6 hours. Some people be in line like the day before. So he's not only going, he's getting the front row. That dude must literally just, I don't know how you could do that. I mean, first of all, the money it would take.
You just reminded me of something. You asked me what do I say about, them saying Trump didn't, about Biden not getting FEMA funded. We're still out of money. The money for the FEMA money is still there and it's being spent. They just said they couldn't go with too many more storms because you don't know, like this one took up 5 states. And not only that, but the only president to ever take money out of FEMA and spend it on housing immigrants was Donald J. Trump. Just like the only president to turn down a U.S. state for FEMA was Donald Trump. He didn't want to give California money for the wildfires until he found out how many Republicans were in California.
Oddly enough, he just said he was in California on a rally, I think yesterday, and he said that again. Something about if they didn't do something he thought was bad for America. He said, how about we hold up some of that money that they use for forest fires? He just said that yesterday.
Like, he ain't very bright. You go to Detroit and you tell everybody the country's going to be a shithole like Detroit and you want them to vote for you. Then you go to California and you say, we're not going to give you any more FEMA money. Like, is the man trying, it's actively looking like he's trying not to get elected from this point.
I don't know. It's a lot of love and adoration for Trump, Andy. I don't know. I think Trump has a really good chance of getting elected. I'm not saying he's guaranteed to win.
Look and took pictures of his 2016, 2020 rallies and his today rallies. I don't know where all this love is. Those rallies are much smaller in attendance than over the last, from 2016 till now. By the thousands.
I'd have to compare him. I haven't seen that. I'd have to compare him.
That's why Kamala's dig hurt so bad. That's why he's been talking about how big the size of his crowds were ever since. Kamala got that shot in about, your crowd size is dwindling and they're leaving, and it hurt his little feelings, and he's been going on about it ever since. That's why he shut up about it.
Well, I will say you are right about that. Like I said, because I watched so many rallies, he has been commenting like, don't leave if you're bored. I mean, he has been saying things about people leave. Everything that she said, he's bringing it up in the rallies. Like, I see you leaving, or, some people, just making references to it, about size and all of that stuff.
I don't want to president that reads off the teleprompter while he's reading off the teleprompter. Like, come on, people.
Well,
surely you're not conned that easily.
But people believe the country will be better off under him. They think Kamala Harris has no experience at all, Andy.
They believe, but there's no. Their feelings have no root in reality, though. They believe that because they want it to be true. 4 years ago, there were 2 meat trucks behind the Alabama hospital downtown because we had no room at the morgue. I'm just saying. I don't think that was better.
No. Well, but that's not the part of the Trump administration they're talking about. They're talking about before the pandemic. The economy was really good before the pandemic. I got to move it on. Go ahead.
To show signs of inflation because tariffs equal inflation. We were already starting in inflation before then. And by the way, I don't want to hear Trump supporters ever say there was no more Russia, when he literally gave the tests to Russia before he gave them to the American people. And peace out.
Thank you. Oddly enough, that doesn't get a lot of criticism from the right that he gave what was it, seven COVID tests to Russia during a time when people in America could not get them and they were paying high dollar for them. And the Kremlin has confirmed that happened. In my opinion, he should get criticism for that. Why would you give our enemy COVID tests? And apparently Vladimir Putin told them. Now this is where Bob Woodward wrote the book on it and didn't provide it. He said anonymous sources. So I'm just going to say allegedly, but allegedly was told by Putin, don't tell anybody you gave me these tests. And I'm not saying this for me. I'm saying it for you. You could get in trouble. But they did verify. The Kremlin did verify. They received those. They received those COVID tests from President Trump. So I do believe that is worthy. He should get some criticism for that.
Are you ready for fun?
He didn't. I want to play this clip real quick before we continue on with the program. It's somewhat in regards to what we were just discussing, and it's like maybe a minute or so. So I do want to hear if what was stated is actually on this clip, and then we'll take the next caller.
Trump was in Rancho Palos Verdes at his golf course.
Meantime, Vice President Kamala Harris was stomping for votes in Pennsylvania. KCAL News anchor Juan Fernandez here with a recap of the life on the campaign trail.
Well, Chauncey, Jasmine, a busy day for both candidates. The clock is ticking for both of them as Election Day draws near. Both former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris trying to make their case to voters that they are the president the country needs right now. We are now 52 days away from Election Day.
Okay,
and
this is not what I was looking for. 52 days, we're obviously closer. But it was in regards to him suggesting that he was not going to give them money to fight wildfires. Now, I believe this video was titled that way, so maybe he said it even as far back as, I know he said it yesterday because I was watching it. But apparently he said it before, according to this video.
Rancho Palos Verdes at the Trump National Golf Course, former President Donald Trump had a few things to say about California.
California has the highest inflation, the highest taxes, the highest gas prices, the most illegal aliens, the most regulations, the most expensive utilities, and it ranks as the third worst state to start a business. It also has the most people leaving it.
The Republican nominee for president also criticized the government's response to the ongoing landslide in Rancho Palos Verdes. This after more than a week since Governor Gavin Newsom proclaimed a state of emergency in the community, giving the city state funding and support from the Office of Emergency Services. Trump also said he would withhold federal firefighting aid to California once he's in the White House.
Gavin Newsom is going to sign those papers, and if he doesn't sign those papers, we won't give him money to put out all his fires. And if we don't give him the money to put out his fires, he's got problems. He's a lousy...
Why is that a good... Now, I want to ask this is predominantly to my MAGA side of the program. Why is that a good thing? Now, you could think Gavin Newsom is a total piece of shit. Now, see in the comments, Brandon Kane says good. Now, you could believe the government of California is a total piece of shit. But understand, if you don't give them money to put out the fires, who do you think is going to suffer from that the great? You think Gavin Newsom's house is going to burn down? You think Gavin Newsom might lose his life in a forest fire? Who do you think is going to be punished the most by this. You're talking about not giving them money to put out fires that people die in. As a measure of punishing them. Is there anybody that believes that Gavin Newsom or any of the upper levels of the California government are going to be caught up in these fires? Wow.
California once he's in the White House.
Gavin Newsom is going to sign those papers. And if he doesn't sign those papers, we won't give him money to put out all his fires. And if we don't give him the money to put out his fires, he's got problems. He's a lousy governor.
Later in the day, California professional firefighters.
I'll stop it. But and I see in the comments, even the firefighters, what does it say? It is shocking that we have a presidential candidate who's threatening our public safety and doesn't even care what the consequences are to firefighters and the public. And that is a great point, is that not only could citizens you're putting the firefighters in harm's way because you don't like the policies of Gavin Newsom. Wow. Look, I'm not here to suggest that Gavin Newsom is some great governor or that Trump is the bad guy. But in this case, he is. Look, you don't hold up aid. Isn't this what we're accusing Biden, for my folks on the right, with the FEMA aid? Isn't that what you're accusing him of? Is not giving folks assistance in their time of need? Why would this be okay? Wow. Now, I often have said on the program that I believe that the Democrats, particularly Kamala Harris, is not a good speaker in terms of delivering a powerful message. This should be played. If I was advising a candidate that was opposing Trump, this would be played at the. This is, to me, in my opinion, maybe my beloved MAGA Saturday, I think I'm getting this wrong, but to me, this is evil. You're doing something that could get a lot of people killed. Americans, by the way. There's nothing America first about this. This is awful. And on the left, you rarely hear it mentioned. And this is not like bringing up something from, 3-4 years ago. He's saying this now. Even on this video, they're claiming the election is only 50 days away. So that means this was only like a month from a month ago. This is awful. Jesus. All right, looking in the comments, and I see 1970 Boo Hogg said Biden did the same thing with Hawaii. And I'm sure he was criticized for it. I don't recall Biden deliberately holding up money, not only not holding up money, but predicting he's going to do it ahead of time. They're not even having the fires right now. He's predicting he's going to do it ahead of time, which is even worse. Wow. I can't see how anybody would favor this. No matter how much you think Gavin Newsom sucks as a governor, the citizens of California have no control over something like that. Not to mention, as I stated earlier, and what you see here, the firefighters have no control over it either. So you're going to take away resources that make their job harder, and maybe some of them may end up getting killed. That's bad. Looking in the comments, people can't afford to live in California anymore. That is true, but that ain't got nothing to do with this. Tim once again getting caught up in distractions so he doesn't focus on Kamala's polls dropping. Well, and I do agree with you, the polls for Kamala Harris is dropping, but maybe Kamala Harris is not the right president if that's what the polls are saying. But that don't excuse this. You're talking about the polls, that's an election. What he's talking about doing could get people killed. That doesn't excuse this. This is horrible. Kareem the Dream. Wow, I can't believe he would say that. Good afternoon, better yet, good evening. Welcome to the program. War is hell, says William T. Sherman. Yeah, especially on your own people. This sounds like some shit right out of Saddam Hussein's playbook. Killing your own people. You mad at the governor, so you're going to let the people? Wow. Not a good one in my opinion. I think that really, particularly in California. If you are a Californian and you think Gavin Newsom sucks, Kamala Harris and Biden sucks, this dude is talking about letting your state burn. Want to vote for him? Barton gave a stinking, I'm assuming you're saying Biden Biden gave a stinking $750 for the people who lost their entire house. Tara, that says Tara Lova. That actually is that's what Trump would refer to as fake news. The $750, and I mean, there's just like literally, you can Google it all over the damn place. $750 is what they give you for essentials right after the disaster happened. And I gotta tell you, that $750, that number has been there for a while. So I can assure you there are people that suffered during the Trump administration that only got $750 too. That ain't a number they just created under the Biden administration. That number was there. Obviously, Florida has had hurricanes every damn year. So I can tell you right off the bat, there are members of the Trump, there are citizens under the Trump administration that'll probably tell you they only got $750. It just, maybe it wasn't as many of them. Maybe the media didn't go out and find them. But the $750, the original amount for incidentals. Now, if you got homeowners insurance, they're not going to give you anything more than the $750. Your insurance is supposed to cover it. So, but I can tell you for certain that people under Trump also got $750. That's been there. That ain't something that just happened under Biden. What I don't like, once again, just like with the Kamala Harris not bringing up this, we're not going to give them money when their state is burning. There was a push to raise that $750. In 2021, Mike Johnson and the Republican Congress voted down a bill that would have raised that $750. And once again, Kamala Harris, they're mentioning it, but nowhere near like they should. I mean, if they're going to bring up that you're only giving $750, for every time that's brought up, the other side should bring up where it would have been higher if the Republicans had a favorite. I mean, it should come up. That's what I'm saying. I'll give Trump credit because he's getting more information out there than the left is. Even if some of the information may or may not be correct, he's saying more. He's saying more. But $750 would be more essential, says. Well, the point is the $750 might be $1,000 to start out with or more. I mean, they tried to raise it, and the Republicans shot it down. So, and I'll agree with what Andy said earlier too. You're either for socialism or you're not. Socialism doesn't change just because it's happening after a disaster. I mean, if somebody has 5 kids and they can't afford it and they're asking the government for help, I mean, maybe for them that's a natural disaster. Socialism is socialism. What you guys are talking about with FEMA, that's a social program. Looking in the comments real quick. One guy got $300. That's it, says Turnover. Listen, let me just say this before I go back to the box. And by the way, tap the screen. We having a man. Guys ain't tapping the screen at all tonight. Program must really suck. Show the program some love. Get us up to about 30,000. I mean, that looks like that's going to be hard tonight. But if you're going to bash Biden and Kamala on the little FEMA money that's going, then you're going to look for those kind of people. Like what you're telling, one guy only got $300. I mean, you're looking for those folks. If somebody ends up getting $40,000 from FEMA, you won't mention that at all. Fox News will not cover that. I mean, the goal is to find people who got shafted. I get it. Now, there's plenty of people you can find, but there are going to be people who will gladly say FEMA kicked in and gave me quite a bit to get my next apartment or my next home. You're not going to hear anything about that on the right. They only want to give you the bad cases. I can tell you that for certainty. They only want to give you the bad cases. $750 to start, then you are made whole, says user. Yeah, well, like I said, it depends on if you have insurance. There are factors to determine if you are going to get more than $750. I guess if you got hurricane insurance on your home, they're not going to give you another $20,000, $30,000 on top of it. You could actually profit if that was the case. Your insurance would cover you. So people who have insurance are not going to get anything. Real quick in the comments, let me go back on. And the left is so honest and pure. Neither side is honest and pure. Neither side. But I'm going to say Trump is saying a lot of things that I wish he would show proof of. I mean, Trump says a lot more things that are controversial. I'm not saying that Kamala Harris is 100% honest all the time, but Trump says some pretty controversial things, which I need to see proof for. Stick, good evening.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I think I tried to bring you up a minute ago and had some problems in the box. But why are you voting in this election? What is if you had to give your two most important reasons why you voting, why are you voting in this?
Well, the reason I'm voting in this is I'm down here in Florida. I just went through the hurricane. I haven't had lights since Thursday morning or Friday morning, and here it is Sunday. Now,
what do you have, a generator?
Yeah, I have a generator right now.
All right.
And it's actually my next door neighbor's generator, but he has enough ports on the generator where I can try to keep my refrigerator on and different stuff like that. But I kind of already lost food and different things.
Well,
like that.
Yeah, if he's been in there since Friday, anything, that's gone.
Yeah. So, but as of today and a little bit of last night, we had a generator. So it was like basically 2-3 days without lights, food bad. So, but again, things are happening all around Florida. Biden was here today, letting people know, hey, go on the internet if you can, if you got a cell phone, tap into the funds. Try to get your relief.
So
even people with insurance, this is emergency funds. Insurance doesn't work like we want it to.
Right.
It takes time. They got to come and assess things. And the emergency funds, like Red Cross, this is what FEMA is. It's emergency funds. It's not to make you whole with one check. It's not to come out and just pay you. The government is not here to pay you. That's what your insurance is for those homeowners, for those business owners. That's your insurance's job to ensure that.
But let me ask you this. Since so much criticism is being lobbied at the Biden-Harris administration, do you believe Biden is handling this properly, Biden and Harris, or do you see where they may not be doing as much as they could or should be doing in this time of need?
Well, first of all, Biden's not going to put on a hard hat and clear woods or chop down trees.
He ain't exactly President Carter. I get it.
Yeah, even President Carter wasn't chopping down trees. What he was doing was taking the lumber that was already cut for him and helping people out.
Right.
Yeah, and he was doing the photo op too. But let's just keep it simple and clean, folks. For those who are insured, whether it's renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, your homeowner's insurance and or renter's insurance will kick in. I don't know how much it will kick in, but it will kick in. But right now, being that it's not kicking in, the people that you have to trust in is your local government and your federal government, which in the form of FEMA, they're doing what they can do because Joe Biden has put out the funds. And I don't know whether Ron DeSantis has talked to this man or not, because I really don't keep up with Ron that much, even though he's my governor. But at the end of the day, what it seems to
wait. Now when you mention you don't keep up with, I just real quick, it's somewhat of a side topic, but you mentioned you don't keep up with Ron DeSantis. What do you think of Ron DeSantis as the governor of your state?
I think he handled COVID wrong, just like Donald Trump handled COVID wrong. But other than that, I really don't have. Well, yeah, I do. That's a lie. He has his woke issues. He has a bunch of issues, abortion issues, and things like that. But as when it comes down to this emergency that we're going through down here in Florida, other Democrats can be mad at me because I'm a Democrat myself, but he's doing his job. That's what I see.
Yeah.
I see he's doing his job, and see, this is the one thing that I wish MAGA could do is just tell the truth about a candidate. If a person is doing what they're supposed to do, say it. Yeah. Say, hey, I may not like him, I may not like his politics, but at this point and at this time, if a person's doing their job, admit to it.
Well, they don't think Kamala Harris or Biden are doing their job, though.
Well, who is who? Who is they?
MAGA does not think Kamala Harris or Biden are doing their job.
Well, I mean, that's their job to say that they're not doing their job.
Okay.
That's
True.
their job
True.
To boost up their candidate in any way. And it seems like it's been Donald Trump's job for the last 9 years to talk bad about America and his fellow politicians, whether it be Republicans or Democrats or liberals. Yeah, John McCain, Dick Cheney's daughter, like Dick Cheney himself, like all of these people are Republicans.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump talked bad about them, just like he said, went in front of Detroit and talked about them and said every city in America will be like them if we let Kamala win. I mean, like, this is the guy that y'all are saying he loves America, but he has nothing good to say about it. And it's not because there's nothing good to say. He just doesn't want to. He's the type that talk bad about America and then go to a UFC fight.
Well, I will say I do gotta agree with you, because I hear that on the right all the time. If you don't like America, just leave. Trump, anytime you hear Trump speaking about America, it is generally negative. Certainly in liberal areas, it's always something negative about the country. I mean, they laugh at us. We're a laughing stock. Our military is depleted. Our cities are falling apart. He is very critical of this country.
While going to the cities, that in a sense he really had nothing to do with. Like, he loves to go to the UFC fights in Vegas. Yeah. He loves sitting around the Prince. He loves being around the owner of the UFC. And he's saying it's so bad, but you're enjoying all of these events that's happening here in America. That's happening in even some of these cities that you're saying are, no good or trash. Sometimes the UFC is in Milwaukee. He's talking bad about Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're in Anaheim, in California. He's talking bad about the whole state, not just the city, a whole state. So all of these bad places he loves going to. He loves holding rallies there. He loves talking and telling people how bad their city is. But at the same time, these are your people.
But what about the notion that a lot of people believe under Trump, those cities economically were doing better?
I don't have the statistics or the paperwork in front of me to say that it was or it wasn't, but what I do know is he did nothing to make his economy the way his economy was for the first 2 years. He came in on a blue wave. He rode the blue wave till he couldn't, or to his his ego wouldn't let him keep riding it because he decided to tear it all up. Remember? He wanted to take everything Barack did and mess it up. He did that.
I don't know if I'd say that. I disagree. I'll tell you this: if Trump was in office and we didn't have a pandemic, I believe, based on what I've seen, the economy would have been good the whole time he was in office. Now, we can say it was Obama's economy or whatever, but when Trump was in office, he was not doing anything to hurt the economy, at least the first 4 years he was there. Now, he may have done things like spending that would have affected us later. Say that again?
You said the first 4 years. He only was there 4 years.
That's what I'm saying. The 4 years he was there, if you take away the pandemic, because the pandemic is going to hurt the economy under anybody.
But that's only 2 years, Tim.
No, it's not. It's 3.
That's only 2 years.
It's 3.
Huh?
It's 3 years.
I mean, if you want to give him the full 19, at 19, we was already starting inflation. He was already, his jobs wasn't that great. I mean, he started a plummet that he did on his own. Like, that was nothing that anybody did before him to start his plummet. He was on the up and up. When Barack was in, he left him a booming economy.
I don't see it that way.
Now, I mean, he did. He left him a booming economy.
No, I'm not talking about that. I agree that when Trump took office, he inherited a good economy from Obama. I disagree with you, though, that the economy was falling under Trump before the pandemic. I didn't see that.
Well, this is what you have to do. You have to go just do what MAGA don't do and do your research.
I did.
Look at gas. So the gas prices in 19 were on the way up. People can say they were on the way down, but then when they started going down, it's because people wasn't traveling in 2020. So that's the only reason. But then guess what he did? Instead of letting the trend keep going, he threatened Saudi Arabia with pulling our military so they could stop pumping 10 million more barrels a day. So what happens when you stop with something that you have an overflow of? you tend to either balance it out or it goes up because now you don't have enough. So you can.
I know about the Saudi. I know about this the Saudi issue you're talking about, but I was over the road. So I was buying a lot of gas in 2019. I don't remember gas going up like that. That's certainly something I'm gonna look at it closer, but I gotta move on. Unfortunately, Stick, as always. Appreciate you coming in.
Well, how about this, Tim? What I will say is this: when you don't handle certain situations right, whether it be COVID, whether it be your own business, things tend to not work out in your favor. So he got fired for whatever reason. He didn't handle it right. They didn't elect him back again. He's not the president now. He should be and always should be known as former President Trump. And he got fired. So to me, the firing lets you know he didn't handle anything right. And he didn't create anything.
That might be a tad harsh, but I gotta move it on, Stick. Thank you for coming in here.
Yes, sir.
All right. And I will say the reason why I'm saying that is because I believe most of the polls show that more Americans favor Trump on the economy than Biden or Kamala Harris. So clearly he did that right. And that's not just mostly on the right. I think even among the left, most of the polls show America favors Trump on the economy. So, I mean, you can say he didn't do anything right. We'll leave it at that. But I don't know about that one. Rachel told me to hate Trump. Who is Rachel? It's too deep. Melania Trump says, my body, my choice. Maybe Trump supporters should read her book. She does say that. But I think Melania Trump is doing it for book sales. I really do. I think she's doing it for book sales. Like I said, what Melania Trump did when she went down to the border, we talked about Kamala Harris on the border. Now, I get that Melania Trump has never been in a position of power, but I don't know, First Lady, if we're going to suggest that Kamala Harris gets blamed for the Biden administration because she could suggest things to Biden, I gotta say Melania Trump could suggest things to her husband. Weren't we saying that Hillary Clinton was running Bill Clinton's administration when she was First Lady? Even Obama himself was often saying that Michelle was running him. So yeah, I think Melania Trump going down to visit the kids on the border with a jacket saying, I don't care, do you? I think it's worthy of bringing up. Looking in the comments, though, so she just another grifter all about the money. Even if Trump was asleep, he still did 10 times more better than this administration. So what's your argument? I'll push back in it. Before I go back to the box, and by the way, tap the screen, somewhat near 30. It's gonna be a lower program. I can see that because there's not a lot of folks in here. I might be getting shadow banned by TikTok. I don't know what the hell's going on. YouTube is doing just fine. My YouTube audience, feel free to subscribe to the program. Follow the program on TikTok. We're here every day until Election Day. Wow, 22 days left. It's that close, and that's what the program is titled today. What the hell are you voting for? Why are you voting in this election? Actually, I had a few other things I wanted to talk about. Because Trump stated that America has been invaded and some cities have been conquered by migrants. Now, for me, being conquered kind of reminds me of, Normandy when D-Day in Normandy or shock and awe when we entered Iraq. Do you believe American cities have been conquered, invaded and conquered? That's the actual language he used, invaded and conquered. Do you believe any American cities have been invaded and conquered by immigrants? I'd like to know because to me that language sounded a bit not only harsh, but excessive. Invaded and conquered. He went to, Aurora, Colorado, where they had some Venezuelan immigrants in an apartment complex caught on video with long rifles. It didn't look good, but it happened in an apartment complex. It didn't happen over the whole damn city. And Trump is stating that Venezuelan immigrants invaded and conquered U.S. cities. I was trying to find the clip because I wanted to hear your opinion on it. Maybe this is it. We'll try to run it. This might be it. Give me a second here. Because I would like to hear your opinion on this. Is certainly not. I don't know what the hell that is. Why is this going like that? All right, looking in the comments still real quick. No clue why that looks that way. What does that say? The U.S. was invaded and conquered, but that was
instead of rallying in the battleground states.
That was in the days of the Pilgrims. Yeah, that's true. We were certainly invaded and conquered by the colonists, but Trump is saying immigrants invaded and conquered this country. The only thing that got conquered were Kamala's knee pads. Guys are crazy. Guys are crazy. You guys do realize that whole Kamala Harris, Willie Brown thing is like 40 years ago. I'm just going to tell you this. If we held every American accountable for similar sexual exploits throughout their entire life, I bet there's a whole lot of male and female Kamala Harrises out there. I mean, at the end of the day, we all kind of sleep with people for personal gain, don't we? I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, people cheat and have affairs all over the damn country. What makes her any? Now, she wasn't president when she did it. Nowhere near it. Didn't even have aspirations to be president back then, probably. I don't see why she's getting hammered. Now, one thing folks are suggesting is that she did it for gainful employment. That can't be proven at all. And there's just no way to prove that at all. But I will say that, as I said earlier in the program, if you're going to say Kamala slept her way to the top, Melania Trump has to be in that same conversation. There's no denying that Melania Trump used her body to get where she's at. I mean, even before she met Trump, she was modeling and showing her body off naked. So I'm just simply saying, if you're going to use Kamala Harris in that conversation, that she used her body to promote herself, Melania Trump's in the same. I mean, there's Melania Trump, you have far more actual evidence of it because she was a nude model. She clearly was using her body. But you don't hear MAGA saying anything about it. Well, she's not running for president. Doesn't matter if using your body for employment career gain is wrong, then she's in the conversation. It doesn't change because she ain't applying for this position. You can use your body to gain, as long as you don't apply. No, she did the same damn thing. It could be conquered if you have foreign companies in areas and immigrants working there. Now, what are you saying? So if you got a foreign company in the middle of Chicago and immigrants work at that company, that means Chicago has been conquered? That doesn't make sense to me. Melania didn't do it for power. Are you kidding me? Jeanette says Melania Trump didn't sell her body for power. She's probably one of the most powerful women in the damn country. What do you mean she didn't do it for power? She got tons of power. She has permanent Secret Service protection for the rest of her damn life. What do you mean she doesn't have power? She could walk in any of Trump's businesses and instantly get treated like a queen. She got tons of power. You're going to tell me the first lady gets no power from that position? Any store, anywhere she goes, she walks up to the front of the line. What do you mean she doesn't have any power? Every woman in the country would like to be treated like the first lady. Every woman in the country would like that treatment. Hell, even every man in the country would like that treatment. Everywhere she goes, if she got ill and went to the hospital, you think she's going to wait in the emergency room? She got tons of. What do you mean she has no power? Wow. You think she knew she was going to be? No, I don't believe that, Jeanette. But at the same time, if you are a billionaire, let's say Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, you got power. There's a ton of power that comes with having that kind of wealth. You don't need to be president. She knew getting with Trump was going to give her a ton of power. Once again, even as Trump's girlfriend or wife when Trump was basically the king of New York with all the properties and shit like that. You got people waiting on your hand and foot. You can ring a bell and somebody brings you waffles while you're in the bed. She had that power before Trump became president, just being his wife. Yes. You tell me she slept with Trump and she didn't get no power. That's crazy. Handsome liberal, stop fronting. All right, here's a good critical one. Says Jonathan. Handsome liberal, stop fronting. You know you voting Trump. Be honest. Listen, at the end of the day, I've said many times in the program, on paper, and I'll put emphasis on paper. On paper, I think Trump deserved a second term. I think if Trump wasn't the guy who loved going around insulting people and starting fights with everybody from sitting senators to Black Lives Matter to athletes to generals in the military, I think on paper, he would have got a second term. I mean, we talk about the economy and things like that. America was, with the exception of what he was doing on the internet and social, America was running smooth. But a lot of the chaos in the country was because of the things he was saying and getting in fights with people. If he wasn't doing that, I think he would probably have gotten reelected. But in my humble opinion, I think he has more than shown us that if he gets reelected, the name calling, tweets, and insults is coming back with him as well. A lot of folks on the right would say, pay attention to Trump's policies. Ignore the rhetoric. Don't vote based on emotion. Vote based on policies. Well, I got to say this go round, a lot of people are voting against Trump because of policies now too. I mean, he's going to bring back the name calling, the insulting, but his policies, the administration that Trump is promising 2024 to 2028 is much further to the right than it was 2016 and 2020. Start with the abortion bans for one. You can start with how far right the Supreme Court has went for two. I mean, the administration that you're going to elect this time is much further right than the one you got in 2016. So it ain't necessarily just voting against the rhetoric anymore. Now it's starting to be policies. I mean, his policies are pretty far to the right. You can't deal with mean tweets, says Eker. I don't think anybody can deal with mean tweets. I mean, I've said this before, you know, people on the right, your feelings are hurt, you're a snowflake. I've said this several times. You could have Biden, you could have Obama or Kamala Harris as president doing exactly the same thing as Trump, same policies, same economy, gas prices low, everything you favor out of former President Trump. You could have a liberal doing that. But if that liberal is constantly insulting Christians and gun owners, the right ain't going to ignore that. They're not going to ignore that and keep voting for that person. That person is on TV saying all kinds of bad shit about Christians, all kinds of awful shit about gun owners, but then following up, but listen, look, gas is only $2 a gallon. They're not going to vote for that person. So the idea that only the liberals vote based on their feelings, to me, is bullshit, because I would cite the likes of the Dixie Chicks, Taylor Swift, and a host of other Hollywood elites that have spoke negatively of Trump. They instantly got canceled by the right. So the right can hear too. They can hear too. The reason why the criticisms and tweets of Trump don't affect people on the right is because simple. They're not aimed at you. None of Trump's insults is aimed at you if you're on the right. But if he was saying things that were about you, I think you change your tune. And there's several members of the Republican administration that make perfect examples. The likes of Mitt Romney's and John McCain's and fucking Liz Cheney's and Adam Kemp. The minute he started talking about those folks, they left him. So, and he's giving you the $2 gas and all of that, but you see folks on the right is abandoning them. The minute he starts criticizing those folks, they leave him too. I mean, nobody likes to get insulted. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. Nobody climbs up to these high-ranking positions, senator, Congress, judge, vice president, general. Nobody wants to sit back and let somebody insult the hell out of them. Them people got family and everything to answer to. How do you think Mike Pence's family would look at him if he goes out and votes for Trump? You think Ted Cruz's wife How do you think she has to act when she's around her friends? I mean, Trump has called her ugly and shit, tweeted out all kinds of things about her, compared her to Melania Trump, and then tweeted out, which one would you choose? I mean, Trump's wife is a supermodel. Tweeted out a picture of his wife next to Melania Trump and said, which one would you choose? Indicating that Ted Cruz's wife is ugly. Now, Ted Cruz just wants power, but how does Ted Cruz's wife act when she's around her friends? Like, damn, your husband just let him treat you like that? That could cause people not to vote for you. If you care about loved ones and relatives and shit like that, you're not just let somebody say all kinds of awful shit about them. So people vote based on their feelings. I don't know why people think you shouldn't. Getting insulted is a part of life. How can you act when it happens? You know something? Now, Eker says getting insulted is a part of life. How you act when it happens is what makes the difference. How does Trump act when he's insulted? I mean, he's getting a ton of votes. People like him. He's clearly emotional. He don't let insults roll off of his back. And nobody's complaining about it when he do it. So why is it wrong when a citizen does it? He does it all the time. He don't just let insults roll off his back. He gets in fights with the people and starts attacking them back in every damn thing. You think Trump, if the shoe was on the other foot, you think Trump would vote for somebody that was saying all kinds of awful shit about him? I don't think so. So I don't get why it's wrong when citizens act that way. President of the United States done it. Trump has very, very thin skin. I think there are heaps of examples to show you Trump has very thin skin. So why is it okay when he has thin skin, but when he criticizes somebody else, it's wrong for them to have thin skin? I don't get that. Continuing on, looking in the comments, people are starting to see the truth. I don't know about that one, Scott Worley. I don't know what the truth is. We talked earlier about cats and dogs being eaten in Springfield, immigrants conquering American cities, the Democrats deliberately not helping Republican FEMA victims of the hurricane. I don't know if people are seeing the truth because I want to see it. I've been begging for evidence or proof of some of this stuff. So I don't know. I don't know about that. Trump needs to stay out of our doctor's offices. Well, I can't read the name there because of the font, but folks are going to suggest that Trump is not in your doctor's office, that he handed the rights to the states, which the state government is in your doctor's office, and they're only in your doctor's office because Trump gave him the ability to do so. So I get what you're saying, though. No certain citizens don't act like him. They cry and turn violent. Haven't seen Donnie turn violent. Well, yeah, you're not going to see a president get violent. Jesus, is that what the litmus test is to be a snowflake? You got to commit an act of violence? Most Democrats don't get violent. Most of the Democrats bitching about Trump's tweets, they haven't been violent. What the hell are you going with that one? He didn't hand anything. The Supreme Court did. No, come on now. Let me just say this. The right has been fighting hard, and they won, and they successfully won. They should get credit for this. The right has been fighting hard to roll back Roe v. Wade for nearly 50 years. You successfully succeeded and did it, but now you're trying to run away from it and say, well, it wasn't me. You sound like Shaggy. You sound like the singer Shaggy. It wasn't me. Trump is responsible for it. Not only is he responsible for it, he's taking credit for doing it. Now that the poll numbers show that a lot of women don't like it, you try to, well, it wasn't me, it was the states, or it wasn't the states, the Supreme Court. At the end of the day, Trump is at the top of the pyramid. None of those other mechanisms of government would have been able to do what they did if it was not for Trump. Trump made it all possible. So you can say it wasn't Trump all you want, but he is out there taking credit for it. His audience is applauding him when he says it. And by the way, he actually promised he would appoint 3 pro-life Supreme Court justices before doing it. He actually came out and said he would do it. So I don't know why you're trying to say that it's not Trump's fault. Yeah, Trump gets credit for rolling back Roe v. Wade. And by the way, I tend to think that if Trump wins in November, if he wins the election, once he doesn't have an election to worry about, he will go back to taking credit for that. He will go back to taking credit for it. that is Trump. That rolling back of Roe v. Wade, that goes under Trump. It's a success for folks on the right. They just don't want to call it a success because it's hurting them in the election right now. But yeah, that is definitely Trump's point. Now I will see if I can find a clip to even talk about that. What am I looking for? Looking in the comments real quick though. What am I looking at here? Anti-abortion is ironically going to be the end of Trump, being that his fans is his biggest accomplishment. I don't know if anti-abortion is going to be in of Trump, but it's like I said, it's hurting him. And not only is the rolling back of Roe v. Wade, Trump could still win, but it's going to really hurt him. Even if Trump becomes president, he's likely to have a lot less supporters in terms of Washington than he would have. Because let's say Trump wins, there's going to be definitely some states where down ballot candidates, talking about senators, Republicans, councilmen, mayors, governors, people are going to lose their job because of that rolling back Roe v. Wade. Because so many women are showing up all over the damn place, voting Democrat down the ticket. So even if somehow, some way Trump wins, he likely has cost other politicians their jobs. He's going to cost some jobs behind that. There's just no other way around it. Most Americans are voting for Trump. Harris is done. She has proven to fail, period. How does, what has Harris done that proves she's a failure? I think listen, I would be more willing to argue that, she hasn't shown her value yet, because as a vice president, you really don't. But you're saying she's a proven failure. What is that based on? She isn't proving that she's a failure. I don't like her handling of the border. But then again, I don't like Trump's handling of COVID. You don't look at Trump's, and I don't think many people get Trump high marks on his handling of the pandemic. Does that mean he's a failure? He didn't handle it right. Yeah, so the notion that Kamala Harris is proven to be a failure, that's just, that's what it would be, KDS, Kamala derangement syndrome. That's just something somebody would say that they don't like Kamala. I'd be more willing to entertain where I don't think she's ready yet, or I don't think she has the resume or something of that nature. But saying she has been proven to be a failure, no. She hasn't done anything to meet that. I wanted to see if I could find this clip. Yeah, that's way too premature to say that about her. By the way, I do believe they were saying the same thing about Obama when he got elected. Obama was only a senator for like 2 years. Kamala Harris, by the way, if you look at her resume, despite how you may feel about her as a politician or whatever she promotes or wants to do, her resume literally looks like somebody on course to become president. She was district attorney, attorney general of California, because she went from San Francisco. She went from having power in a city to having very high amount of power in a state, to becoming senator of that state, to then becoming vice president. I mean, she literally has a resume that almost looks perfect. Den Cal, appreciate that. She literally has a resume that looks like somebody who is on par to becoming president. So, and I know some folks, but she slept her way throughout. No evidence to that. But yeah, she literally has a resume like that. I see why. Before I bring up my next guest, I want to play a clip for you. But I see that YouTube has put in a damn 30-second commercial. So we'll let that play. I think it's the highest today. So that goes to Biden. The deficit, when Trump was in office, it was higher than Obama. I didn't hear anybody on the right talking about spending or the deficit when Trump was in there. Trump did not bring the deficit down. He didn't even run on doing that shit. We had an issue with spending and the deficit when Obama was president. And when Trump became president, it was not an issue suddenly at all. And as I said, Trump continued spending when he was president as well. So it's almost like we just gave him a pass on it. West Coast politicians for president are so rare. What do you mean? West Coast politicians for president are so rare, they don't exist. Yes, a few candidates, but no winners. Bullshit. Have you not heard of Ronald Reagan? He's straight out of California. What do you mean West Coast, West Coast politicians for president are so rare they don't exist? I'm assuming you never heard of Ronald Reagan, huh? What is known as the best Republican president in our lifetime? Well, some would say before Trump, but Ronald Reagan was out of California. By the way, they wanted to consider putting Schwarzenegger there, but because he was not born in America, they couldn't. But there was talk when Schwarzenegger became governor of California, and so many people liked him because he was such a highly well-respected actor. The right was talking about finding a way to change the law to allow him to run for president until all of that that affair he had and the whole, bastard kid on the side or whatever the hell was going on with his maid or whatever. But yeah, you got right-wing not right-wing, but you got politicians coming out of California. And the two I just named are Republicans. So it's not rare. It's rare. Okay, before I go to the next caller, I wanted to entertain this clip. This is Trump with Hillary Clinton having a debate.
It's just so imperative that we have the right justices. Something happened recently where Justice Ginsburg made some very, very inappropriate statements toward me and toward a tremendous number of people, many, many millions of people that I represent. And she was forced to apologize, and apologize she did. But these were statements that should never, ever have been made. We need a Supreme Court that, in my opinion, is going to uphold the Second Amendment and all amendments, but the Second Amendment, which is under absolute siege. I believe if my opponent...
I just want to say something real quick. The Second Amendment in 2015 was not under absolute siege. I mean, Trump is really good at exaggerating the fuck out of things. Wow. The Second Amendment in 2015 was under absolute siege?
Should win this race, which I truly don't think will happen. We will have a Second Amendment, which will be a very, very small replica of what it is right now. But I feel that it's absolutely important that we uphold because of the fact that it is under such trauma. I feel that the justices that I am going to appoint, and I've named 20 of them, the justices that I'm going to appoint will be pro-life. They will have a conservative bent. They will be protecting the Second Amendment. They are great scholars in all cases, and they're people of tremendous respect. They will interpret the Constitution the way the founders wanted it interpreted, and I believe that's very, very important. I don't think we should have justices appointed that decide what they want to hear. It's all about the Constitution and so important, the Constitution, the way it was.
This wasn't what I was even looking for. He's not saying what there was another one. But by the way, he's talking about some of the things he's talking about. I think a lot of folks would suggest that the current Supreme Court they haven't measured up to some of that stuff. So
hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and question I get all the time.
Continuing on, anyway, because he did say he was going to appoint Supreme Court justices that were going to overturn Roe v. Wade. I have the clip, but for some strange reason, YouTube is adding all these long ass commercials before. It used to be to bring a clip up and there was like a 5-second ad and you could skip over it. They're now putting ads in some of these clips that are. This ad is almost 2 fucking minutes long. Wow. You can't do nothing about it. You have to watch a 2-minute ad. All right, anyway, let me go back to the box. That's crazy. No, the current court is soft. Angle fan gave me that. You think the current Supreme Court is soft? How? I may be soft on Trump. I think the current Supreme Court is pro-Trump. Damn near MAGA. And by the way, listen, at the end of the day, if the Supreme Court was doing for Kamala Harris or Biden what they're doing for Trump, the right would be saying that the Supreme Court is in favor of Kamala Harris or Biden. I think the Supreme Court is almost like damn near pro-Trump at this point. And I see your comment, Alexander says the end of YouTube. Yeah, that's crazy that they got a 2-minute commercial in here. Like, what the fuck? Used to be 5 seconds. I got a YouTube channel. Hope they put 2-minute commercials in my shit. Somebody getting paid for that 2 minutes. That's longer than it is on TV. Jesus. for one commercial. I don't want to hear what this dude got to say. That's crazy. It's over with in like 14 seconds. Anyway, what did Pence do in 4 years? Excellent question. Because that's what folks are saying, that Kamala Harris didn't do a damn thing in office. Chatty says, I appreciate you, handsome lib, but disheartened to see how blindly jaded you are for supporting Kamala with no factual statements. Later on, I appreciate you being critical of me. No problem with that. But I wish you would have stated, what am I saying that is pro-Kamala that lacks facts? I don't think that would have been too much to ask you to do that. Infinity, how can we let this pig run for president again? He attacked the Capitol. What's next? Giving him a bulldozer for a victory parade. How did we get here? That's strong language there. He said, how do we let this pig? Wow. First question I would have, what makes you think Trump is a pig? Damn. Now he said he attacked the Capitol. Trump himself did not attack the Capitol building, but it doesn't happen without Trump. I'm just going to say, for folks who say, well, he didn't incite it or whatever, it doesn't happen without Trump. That's just like folks are suggesting that he is not responsible for the abortion bans that are taking place. They don't happen without him. So in regards to the Capitol statement, I'm going to say I agree with that. But you say, what's next? Giving him a bulldozer for a victory parade. Well, if he is allowed to appoint if he's allowed to partake in the largest deportation in history, which is what he's promising, yeah, that's kind of akin to him having a bulldozer. I mean, Trump is promising to do some pretty historic shit.
Including the justices that you will name, to overturn Roe v. Wade, which includes, in fact, states a woman's right to abortion.
Well, if that would happen, because I am pro-life and I will be appointing pro-life judges, I would think that will go back to the individual states.
But I'm asking you specifically, would you like
to... If they overturned it, it'll go back to the states.
But what I'm asking you, sir, is do you want to see the court overturn? You just said you want to see the court protect the Second Amendment. Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, that will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court. I will say this, it will go back to the states, and the states will then make a determination.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, I strongly support Roe v. Wade, which guarantees.
I'll stop it there. To me, that's if you don't give Trump credit for the states rolling back, the states having the right to ban abortion. I don't know what, I mean, he's pretty much saying that was his intention, was to do it. So any state that has rolled back a woman's right to choose, he's saying that he was intending to do it before they got, I mean, he is, how the hell could you not say he's responsible for it? He clearly says that is what he was trying to do. And that's what happened. And it happened because of him. So, yeah, there's no way in hell I believe he should not be held, he should not get the blame for it. But at the end of the day, evangelicals who overwhelmingly favor Trump, that's what they want. He should be celebrating it. But it's not helping him in the polls, so he's trying to deny it. No, take your victory lap. You did for your base what they've been wanting for 50 plus years. Now that you've accomplished it, and it may not be beneficial to you in this upcoming election, you're trying to, backtrack from it and say it's the states, it's not me. No, you're online saying that was your goal, was to get the states the ability to do it. So yeah, he gets 100% blame for that. But he should be celebrating and not trying to run from it. In response to immigration concerns, Harris's call to action was the public-private partnership, Central America for CAF. The idea behind CAF is to support the creation. I don't know anything about that. I don't get the point you're trying to make, is what I'm saying. Based on experience, you got to vote Trump. Kamala's performance is 0 out of 10. Shady, now you're saying because Trump was president already, he has far more experience than Kamala Harris, and you're saying that based on experience, you got to go with Trump 10 times out of 10. Well, not necessarily. I tell you right off the bat, if you had J.D. Vance running for president against Obama, You could say that, well, based on experience, you'd pick Obama 10 times. No, but you wouldn't do it, though, because you wouldn't like Obama's policies. You would favor the policies of J.D. Vance. Even though Kamala Harris has never been president, and Trump has, as I stated earlier in the program, Trump has promised some pretty far-right policies. If you're a moderate or you're on the left, you're not going to vote for somebody who's promising really far-right shit just because, well, he has been president before. Doesn't work like that. I don't care how long a liberal's been in politics. If he's talking about taking away guns, you're not going to vote for him. Even if the other guy is brand new to the scene. You're not going to vote for somebody who's pushing far left policies. So why would you expect the left to vote for somebody who's pushing far right policies? Trump, the clueless clown, says according to Petey. Wow. Clueless clown. I don't know if I'd say that. Kamala was 2 presidents. You think Biden was running the show left? Man, no evidence to that. Every president in office, probably with the exception of Trump, somebody claims that somebody behind the scenes is controlling them. I didn't see any evidence of it, so I'll leave it at that. The states is where abortion belongs. Didn't come out and say that. Silly Sunday. You're saying the states is where abortion belongs. Here's my pushback on that. Even if you want to suggest that abortion should be left up to the states, my pushback is this. If you're going to leave it up to the states, then it should be based on the will of the people in those states. Every state that has an abortion ban currently is in place without the will of, not one state, not one of these states. I think there's about 20 states, I think, with limitations or bans, outright bans. Not one of those states that has a ban in place put it there after taking a vote from the people in that state. Not one. In several states, when the people tried to vote on it, the state prevented them from doing so. So what Trump did is essentially put the right to choose, or to put the whole abortion conversation in the hands of state dictators, because those states are doing what they want to do, even though the people in many of those states don't want it. I mean, even Kansas, when Kansas finally got a chance to vote and they voted for women to have access to abortion, they had banned it. They got the right to vote and they voted again. Most of those states are doing it. I don't know any state so far that put abortion on the ballot and the people voted to ban it. Not one. Now, if somebody knows a state, let me know. What state has an abortion ban where it was actually voted in by the people since Trump did this? I don't know any. All of those states had a government that just said, we think you should not be able to choose, or we think it should be limited, so we're going to do it. The women in those states have had no say-so at all. So to me, when you say it belongs at the state level, but the people in the state haven't had any say-so, that's just like a dictatorship. That ain't giving the power to the states. That's giving the power to the state government. Looking in the comments here, Alex Honest News is at the Blaze. I don't know what you're talking about there. I'm voting for Donald Trump for his excellent track record. Excellent. Wow. All right. If you lean right, that makes sense. If you lean right, I mean, when I say lean right, I mean not a moderate. I mean you lean right if you say that. But it makes sense if you're that way. If you are a single issue voter, only voting solely for abortion, that's weak. That's your opinion. Mike, that is your opinion. Now you said, Mike, what Mike said is if you are a single issue voter, only voting solely for abortion rights, that's weak. I could tell you, you know how many things I could say that shit for? If you are a voter solely voting to prevent, biological boys from playing in sports that are dominated by girls, that's weak. In fact, that's an issue that the overwhelming majority of Americans are not even dealing with. I mean, you got people in Alabama and Mississippi and shit talking about, I don't want boys to play girl sports. It's probably not even one transgender boy trying to play for a girls team in the whole state of Alabama. They complaining about some shit that they ain't dealing with at all. So I can tell you about single issue voters on a number of levels, so I don't know. You're going to say voting for a woman to have a right to choose is weak. How many cities in America? You got to think there's probably tens of thousands. I mean, there's probably thousands, just counties. There are thousands of counties, and each county has a bunch of cities in it. But think about all of the thousands of cities in America. How many cities in America are actually being overrun by illegal immigrants? I submit to you, probably 90% of American cities or more do not have an illegal immigration problem. When you look at the presidential map, where the blue cities are mostly Democrat, the big cities are mostly Democrat, but most of America's red. Most of rural America is red. They're not having illegal immigration problems in most Republican cities. In fact, most of the shit that Republicans are complaining about it's happening in Chicago or it's happening in LA. You got people that live in rural Montana talking about how bad Chicago is. Like, I ain't been in Chicago my whole life, but I sit around watching Fox complaining about it all day. So when you talk about single issue voters voting solely on abortion and that's weak, I got to tell you, I talk to folks on the right all the time that are voting solely on Second Amendment rights or solely on, I mentioned transgender issue, stuff that they ain't even dealing with, stuff that they are likely to never deal with. And over 99.9% of American schools do not feature a single transgender child trying to play for a different sports team. That is exceptionally rare in terms of the problem it's causing in America. Over 99.9% of American schools do not feature one single person that was born a male trying to play for a girls' sports team. Yet, Trump is saying that at every rally. Now, I see in the comments, Mike Hawk says for now. So what is this, a minority report? You're complaining about shit that could happen. Out of all of the things that are happening in this country, the people suffering and stuff, you're complaining about something that might happen in the future, a fairly distant way out. Even if Kamala Harris becomes president, I think at the end of 4 years of Kamala Harris, what I just said would still apply. 99.9% of American schools will still not have a single athlete. We had 8 years of Obama, and it didn't happen. That's well, for now. And I see in the comments, yes, I have children. Yeah, you might have children, but your children ain't dealing with that. I don't even know what school your kid goes to, and I can say the odds are highly likely that ain't happening at your child's school, where a transgender male is trying to play for the girls' team. That is exception. He's talking about is weak to solely vote based on abortion. Something that far, far more women face. I tell you this, damn near every woman in this country probably knows of at least one woman that's had an abortion, if she ain't the one. That's way more common than playing for another team. Just about every woman in this country probably knows at least one woman that has terminated a baby. Weak. All right, looking in the comments, that's crazy you would say that, though. Basically, it's just saying, as opposed to it being a weak issue, it's basically saying, I think the things I'm concerned with are better or more important than the things you're concerned with. I'll look at it like that. How dare you, I'm assuming that says say that, Jims? You're telling me I'm wrong? I truly believe that. I truly believe that most women, just about all women, know of at least one woman that has had an abortion. Maybe if she's 15, she doesn't know one. If she's 40, 45, yeah, she knows at least one other woman that has done that. It's that common. It is that common. So yeah, I definitely think that unless she don't have any friends, she don't hang around any damn body, or maybe she is everybody she hangs around is way far to the right. Maybe in that case, you live in a really, deeply religious small town. Yeah, okay, maybe in that case you won't know anybody. 15% of all pregnancies are miscarriages. It's common, says FSU. Yeah, it's very common. It's very common. How did the women get pregnant? Does that matter in a lot of these anti-abortion states? Do they even give a damn how she got pregnant? Some of them don't even give a damn about the condition of the kid. Like Kate Cox, that 31-year-old Trump supporter, by the way. She was a Trump supporter that lived in Texas. She had a kid that wasn't even going to live, and they were trying to force her to have the baby. So you're talking about how did they get pregnant? They don't even care how she got pregnant. Some places, you had a 10-year-old in Ohio that was raped by a relative, and they were going like, you're going to have this baby anyway. So it doesn't matter how they got impregnated. They don't care about that. Looking in the comments, they took over my town in New Jersey. They were sleeping in the bushes and crapping in the yards. Tara, now that was in response to the comment, do you know of an American city that has been conquered, as Trump said? Trump said they're invading and conquering U.S. cities. You're in New Jersey, Tara Lovo on YouTube, and you're saying immigrants took over your town in New Jersey. They were sleeping in the bushes and crapping on the yards. I got to push back on you for the simple fact of this. What happened in New Jersey, New York, Chicago, that's not organic. They didn't invade your area. Your area was flooded by Governor Greg Abbott of Texas and to a lesser degree Ron DeSantis of Florida. They deliberately sent immigrants to your area with the intention of overrunning your area with immigrants to prove a point. So when you say they took over my town, no. They were literally flooded into your town intentionally. If the immigrants had been left to their own devices after coming into America, they weren't going to all come to New Jersey or Chicago like that. They weren't all going to go there. They would have been dispersed out all over the country. A lot of them would have stayed in Texas, where Texas Governor Abbott didn't want them in Texas. So he deliberately sent them to a couple cities to flood those cities to make a point. Your area was likely one of them. That was done by Texas Governor Abbott. That was not done by immigrants coming and flood. They weren't all. Why would a bunch of immigrants come to America and all go to New Jersey? We're in the middle of winter in some of those cases. When it's freezing cold, they don't have any clothes. Why would they all go to New Jersey? That was done by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. We have white, African-American, Latins, homeless in my area. Gyms, I think that's happening damn near in every major city. Real quick, and 10 of the 11 poorest states are Republican states, equals less educated. That is true, by the way. You hear about Democratic cities being where all the crime is. The poverty is in Republican areas. If you are, especially if you're a minority, like if you look like me and you want to live in an area where you can make the most money and get a high-paying job, it's a Democratic city. It is definitely more likely to be a Democratic city. I'll tell you right off the bat, especially if you don't have a lot of education. Democratic cities where you find union jobs, where you don't need but a high school diploma, you're going to find, because there's so much diversity in Democratic cities, getting promoted and getting high-level positions are far easier. I mean, getting into politics is much easier. I mean, you will find brothers making a lot more money in Democratic cities than you will in Republican areas. Now, I'll admit the crime is going to be more in Democratic cities, but so is the income. The income is much higher. Brothers working for the Park District and the Post Office and the Transit Authority and things like that, they making, some of the people making six figures, especially when you factor in overtime and things like that. And they're getting paid union wages. You get down to rural Alabama, they ain't making money like that. Damn, they're working at Dollar Tree for $11 an hour if they lucky. You go up into Chicago, somewhere like that, yeah, they got real income coming in. Big difference. Now, I get the cost of living in Democratic cities is higher. But even when you adjust for that, what the folks own, the homes, the cars they drive, they still making a lot more money in Democratic cities. And I see somebody say, I knew when I said $11 an hour, I was being generous. I see Pinky said $8 an hour. I knew I was being generous about that. Yeah, Dollar Tree don't shit. Cops with total immunity is a hell no. A pimp, I'm Furbank, I don't disagree with that at all. If the pay is great, why is there so much poverty? The sheer number of people woodworking, the sheer number of people. I mean, if you put 8 million people in a city, I mean, some people are not going to be doing as well. It's just that way. But I will tell you this: a lot of it is mental illness and drugs. mental illness and drugs. If you live in a city like Chicago or you live in a city like Philadelphia or DC, ain't nothing stopping you from getting a decent paying job. Maybe you won't make 100,000 a year, but if you want to make, 50, 60 grand a year, little bit of education, you can generally make that in those type of cities. So, I mean, a lot of it is you getting hooked on drugs. Maybe you got you got on the wrong side of the law, and now they got this, issues with felons. You can't get a job for a long period of time after you get out, that type of shit. But if you just, stay on the right side of the law, get a little bit of an education, and go out and look for a job in liberal cities, you typically can live the American dream. You typically can get that, a nice place to live, a decent piece of a car. I mean, yeah. But in Republican areas, it is harder to do that. Drug addiction is not a mental illness. Drug addiction is not a mental illness. If I hate to bring race into this, but I'm going to do it for the simple your statement. You said drug addiction is not a mental illness. It's not if the drug of choice is crack, but if it's opioids, it is. They sure treated citizens addicted to crack got treated considerably worse than citizens addicted to opioids. Considerably worse. So, in fact, I believe they are calling it somewhat of a mental illness. If you're addicted to pills, they are treating it like it's a mental illness. They ain't coming up with, mandatory minimums and shit like that. Like with crack, they were throwing you in jail forever for that shit. They ain't doing that to people who are addicted to pills. So they are treating it like a mental illness. Gene, if they have been here since Bush Jr. was president, they're legal. Well, I see what you're trying to say there, Ali. As I've said before in the program, if Trump gets elected, I think the whole meaning of here legally is going to change. I think there's a lot of people that are currently here legally, because, people always say, I'm okay with immigrants, just come here legally. A lot of people that are here legally are going to find themselves getting kicked out too. The Haitian migrants are here legally. He's already said they're going to go. So if you think coming here legally is going to somehow give you a shield from Trump, I think the only thing that will give you a shield from President Trump if you are here and you immigrated to this country is probably if you have already obtained a green card. If you don't have a green card yet, your stay is in jeopardy. Now, some might suggest the color of your skin may have something to do with it. We'll leave that alone. But if you do not have a green card by the time Trump becomes president, I don't believe simply being here legally is a guarantee at all. Because I do believe there will be more denials. There are people here who are here legally, but they're working their case. Like, if you come here legally and you want to become a resident of America and you're trying to eventually become a citizen, it takes a long time. It's not something that happens overnight. It's usually a decade or more to do that. So you're going through the courts. Courts are hearing your case as you're presenting stuff, and the judges are ruling in your favor as you keep progressing up to getting residency and then citizenship. What I'm saying is, if Trump gets elected, those judges are going to be denying you for a lot more. I mean, obviously, if you commit a felony, most people will agree you should get kicked out. I don't think they're doing that right now. I think it'll drop down to misdemeanors and shit. I think that you get caught stealing a bag of potato chips or some shit, cussing out a cop. I think the threshold for what gets you kicked out will drop. It'll be easier to kick people out. I mean, that's like by far his number one promise is that he's going to get the border under control. So yeah, I think that if you don't have a green card when Trump becomes president, you are not safe. You are not safe. And simply staying out of trouble and not getting on the wrong side of the law, I don't think that makes you safe either. Because he stated that he's going to have elite teams of ICE hunting down immigrants. His words were hunting them down. So, okay, I'm here. I'm still waiting for, my asylum claim to come back or something. No, the people are hunting you down. So I do believe that it's going to be very, very difficult to stay in this country if Trump gets elected. And a lot of people like that. A lot of people favor that. I believe families with no undocumented household members will be harassed. I do too. Rhonda, I do too. I believe I'll give you Sheriff Joe Arpaio down in Arizona, someone that Trump favors, a big Trump supporter. He's the sheriff that had everybody wearing pink underwear and sleeping in tents out in the sun and watching the Disney Channel. He was very hard on inmates, hard on criminals. Anyway, he had his deputies, because Arizona's a border state, and he was talking about securing the border. He was doing this during the Obama administration, by the way, when Obama was allegedly separating families. He had his deputies stopping and frisking people, brown people, overwhelmingly brown people in Arizona. If you're concerned about, people coming across the border illegally, I mean, the overwhelming majority of them are going to be brown. Stopping and frisking brown people and demanding they show paperwork to prove they had a right to be in the country. Now, ultimately, Sheriff Joe Arpaio got charged with a crime for doing that. That's a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights, the protection against unwarranted searches and seizures. You just can't search people. By the way, Trump is talking about bringing back stop and frisk as well, like Giuliani, but that is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Well, anyway, Sheriff Joe Arpaio kept doing it after he was told to stop. He got indicted and actually was found guilty of violating, because you're stopping Americans too. You're just stopping people that look like they may have came across the border. As Rhonda pointed out, it's going to affect legal people too. If you look Hispanic, maybe you're celebrating Cinco de Mayo or some shit, or some Mexican holiday, and you're sitting on your porch waving around a Mexican flag. Gonna be a lot of cops that don't like that. Now they on your porch demanding you prove paperwork. Well, anyway, Sheriff Joe Arpaio got indicted for violating people's civil rights and was found guilty and was about to be sentenced to prison for doing it. Trump pardoned him in 2017. Trump pardoned him. So that happened. But yeah, I do agree with you that if Trump gets elected, you don't have to be undocumented to find yourself. Just like when September 11th happened and we got really serious on going after terrorists, there was a lot of Muslims in America that got harassed. In fact, I was hanging out with a chick during that time, and she told me her brother disappeared for 3 weeks. It was in the suburbs of Chicago. She was like, we knew the government had him. And she was like, our parents was going down to the police station and filing missing persons reports, and even accusing, like, we know y'all don't took this guy. We know you got him. Because we seen the cops sitting across the house, street from my house, 2 men sitting in the car for hours on end. She was a Pakistani. But anyway, she said after about 3 weeks, he just walked into the house and started telling them a story of how the police had grabbed him. And they held him for 3 weeks. So, I mean, we got really strong on Muslims after September 11th. People were getting harassed everywhere. Well, I do believe if Trump gets elected, I mean, if you believe they're eating pets, they deserve to be harassed. If you believe they're here to rape and murder every damn body, they deserve to be harassed. I get it. If I believed that immigrants was overwhelmingly eating pets and raping and murdering people, I wouldn't care what happened to them either. Now, I don't believe that's happening, but for folks who do, they don't care if they get harassed. I mean, these people are dangerous. If you believe they're taking over and conquering cities, as Trump said, okay, this is what happens when you conquer an American city. You get harassed. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think you need to be illegal to get harassed if Trump gets elected. Homan and Roosevelt, they detained all kinds of people there unlawfully. Chicago police, yeah. After September 11, we were grabbing. Now, you're talking about Homan and Roosevelt. You're talking about in modern times, Hispanics? Wow. I think even if Kamala gets in, people will take these matters into their own hands. Rhonda, yes, but they won't have the blessing of the federal government. But yes, I think that Trump has hyped up enough folks that even if Kamala Harris wins, those folks will see Kamala Harris is not doing her job. And some smaller state governments, maybe local governments, will try to do some of this stuff anyway. Now, it could lead to Kamala Harris passing a federal law to prevent it. But yeah, I do agree with you. It's because people are so damn hyped up at this point that you're going to have some action whether Trump wins or not. People really believe that these folks are extreme danger to America. I mean, you got folks that look at illegal immigrants like they're Hamas in Israel. They believe those folks are that damn dangerous. You got folks that are literally treating immigrants in America like they're Hamas in Israel. I mean, it's unfounded, but it is happening. My nephew got stopped because he is dark hair, tans easily back in 9/11. Yeah. And in America, they didn't give a damn. We were so pissed off at immigrants, so scared of Muslims, rather. We were so pissed off at Muslims. We were so angry at what happened after 9/11. If you were a Muslim and you got wrongfully detained, there was going to be little to no sympathy at all for you complaining about that. People were going to just look, he's trying to secure the country. Bush is trying to secure the country, So what, you got stopped? What did they tell you with the stop and frisk? And with Trump promising to bring back immunity from cops? If you ain't got nothing to hide, you shouldn't mind them searching you for a little bit. It's insane to me, but people tell you, I've been told that 100 times. All politicians care about is how much money they can make and how much power they can achieve. Oh, I don't know about that. I'll give you the MAGA pushback. Trump got elected and didn't take a salary. Because he said all politicians care about is how much money they can make. Well, people are going to say Trump got elected and he didn't take a salary. Trump reportedly used a slur to insult Harris during private dinners for rich donors. Says Cool Ed. I don't think there's anybody that would not believe that. I mean, he's calling her dumb on public TV. He's calling her stupid. The possibility of him calling her a bitch or the C word or something in private is extremely high. I mean, hell, she might be calling him that at this point. She's on video saying her favorite word is the F word. But yeah, the idea that Trump may have said a slur or an insult, used profanity to describe Kamala Harris. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that happened. Because like I said, he's calling her all kinds of wild shit out in public. People that stiff contractors don't give away money. Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know though. Let me see something here. Hang on, I gotta reset something here. Hold on. Let's see what's going on here. I don't know what just happened there.